This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the Town of North Haven.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning and Zoning meeting for March 1, 2021. My name is Vernon Carlson, and I'm the chairman of the commission.
Carlson, yeah.
And I believe we have a full commission tonight. There will be some changes as we come along. We have some items on, some items off. We have 2 public hearings. With that being said, let me just explain to everyone that's here how this actually works. And that is that the applicant will present the application, and the commission will ask any questions that may have. When we get the results, we'll open up to the public on the public hearings, and they all can have your say. And of course, on site plans, there is no public input, and in deliberation, there is no public input. With that being said,
Hey, Vern, before you go further, could you ask people that are on to please mute themselves unless they're talking so that we don't get the background?
look, you got to go ahead, Jim.
Well, I think most people that are on here have hopefully been on Zoom before, and if you haven't, if you don't hit the mute button, whatever's going on in your background comes through to our meeting, which becomes very difficult. So I'm not trying to get anybody not to talk. All I'm asking is that if you are not speaking at any given time, put your mute button on so we don't hear your background.
Very good. Thanks, Jim. With that, let me go to the commission. I'd like to have the commission. 1 second. Let me introduce our staff, which is Alan Frederickson is our land use administrator. Andy Bellavacqua is our town engineer. And Pam Miller is our staff secretary. Tonight, we're going to have Jennifer Capola, who will be calling the roll of the meeting. With that, Jim, would you introduce yourself and as we go along?
Yeah, my name is James Giletti. I'm a regular member.
Next.
Teresa Ranciato Veely, regular member.
Brian?
Brian Cummins, regular member.
Rich Wilson, vice chair.
Okay. Is Rod?
Rod Williams, an alternate member.
Paul Wyman, alternate member.
Okay. And Joe is not here, from my understanding. Okay. Later on in the meeting, that Paul Wyman, he'll be stepping in on a couple of the applications later on that should be taking place on a vote. So he was here last month and sat on them, and so he'll be in on this one, and Teresa will step back just for those 2 meetings. With that, Teresa, is there any changes, Alan, that we have to the agenda that should be said?
Yes. We have item number 4, coupled with the site plan application for it. For the Slate School will not be heard tonight. They need to complete their journey through the Inland Wetlands Commission. So 5100 Ridge Road will not be heard tonight. Additionally, 202 State Street will not be heard tonight. And that was a public hearing special permit and a corresponding site plan. So those 2 will not be heard. I think those are the changes. So a total of 4 applications will not be heard this evening.
Okay, good. Thank you, Alan. Teresa, would you call the call of the first public hearing.
Yes. Public hearing P20-25S. Continuation of the special permit application of GBR STORZ LLC applicant and owner relative to 318 Kings Highway, map 98, lot 1, plan entitled Re-subdivision of Anderson Sunnyside Farm, land of GBR STORZ LLC, 318 Kings Highway, Town of North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by LRC Group, dated 9/2/2020, scale 1 inch equals 60 feet, R40 zoning district.
Okay, in respect to this application, we have, as the commission, we have only to take a look at the terms and the letter that our town attorney has drawn up in respect to the cleaning of the basin. And if Jennifer, if you'll go over that, it would probably be good. And then we can just move on from there.
Well, considering it's.
Now, excuse me, hold on one sec. So we have both applications that are being taken together,
Yes,
correct?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay,
okay,
we're
yeah,
taking the re-subdivision and the special permit?
yeah, 1 and 2 together, yes. We're taking them
Okay.
together. But
And
Sorry, so I should read in P20-25 as well.
to be consistent, I guess we should, yes.
yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
P20-25, continuation of the re-subdivision application of GBR STORZ LLC applicant and owner for 8 lots relative to 318 Kings Highway, map 98, lot 1. Plan entitled Re-subdivision of Anderson Sunnyside Farm, land of GBR STORZ LLC, 318 Kings Highway, Town of North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by LRC Group, dated 9/2/2020, scale 1 inch equals 60 feet, R40 zoning district.
Okay, Jennifer?
So in terms, this is Jennifer Capola, counsel for the commission. The commissioners did receive a copy of the proposed stormwater management inspection and maintenance agreement. That was reviewed by staff, so by Alan Frederickson, by Andy Bevilacqua, and also by Laura Magarasi, your zoning enforcement officer. And also reviewed and commented on by applicant's counsel as well, Amy Bloom, who's on. And it just seeks to address the concerns of the commission with regard to maintenance of the stormwater management facilities into the future once the properties titled to the parcels are transferred. So it is quite lengthy. I don't know if the commission has any specific concerns. Obviously, it references, I had proposed at the last meeting at which we discussed this, which I guess was in January because you didn't have your February meeting, a revision to note 16, which is the site of the sheet SDP1 of the plan, which is the site development plan, to make clear again to purchasers of the lots what their obligation is with regard to maintenance and inspections on the stormwater management facilities. So that's obviously incorporated in there, and then there are more specific terms with regard to inspection and maintenance, some of which were proposed by the applicant and some of which were added by staff, in particular your town engineer. And then we have some clarification with regard to the inspections that may take place, as well as the maintenance of documentation with regard to those inspections, as well as if there is a failure to do what is required as far as inspection, maintenance, or repairs, just advising again the purchasers of the lots what the responsibilities are and what happens if they fail to meet their responsibilities. So I know that that was a concern, that if, again, there was a failure to inspect, maintain, and repair, that the town be able to have access and also have the ability to go and perform the maintenance and repair and correct the problem, and then obtain, obviously, payment for any expenses incurred as a result thereof. So all of that language is in here. If there are specific questions with regard to any provision, I'm happy to comment. And Attorney Bloom is here as well, so.
This is Jim Giletti. I will tell you that I read it. I get it. I'm concerned about the enforceability, but I don't know that you can do any better than that. So you feel confident, and most particularly looking at paragraph 10, that if the owner does, the subsequent owner, because we're into the language where it's owners, successors, and assigns, and obviously the agreement anticipates that the current owner won't, somewhere down the line, have any interest in this. So we're talking about successors and assigns. So if the successor to the owner, one of the buyers of the lots, doesn't do it, you feel comfortable that if they just don't and they refuse, the town goes in, you'll be able to enforce this and go in and get that money back?
Yes, I do feel comfortable with it. I did quite a bit of research on it just to ensure that, everything was in order. And at the end of the day, I think the process that we're following in terms of revising the note on the plan that's going to be approved, as well as requiring the recording of this before any of the lots are transferred.
Right.
And also, again, having staff and myself review the deed language, that's the other piece of this. I think that all three of those things combined is going to ensure that we have no issue in terms of our position on enforcement.
All right, I'm good.
Okay, Jim, you're all set, Jim? Okay, thank you. Let me just get around here. Rich Wilson?
Yes, I read it over, Vern. And
Yep, you all set?
Yep.
Any questions?
I think Jennifer covered everything on it. Thank you.
Okay, fine. Brian?
Vern almost said it's good. I'm glad we went the extra mile and did this.
Okay, good enough. That's good to hear. Paul, any input?
Yes, I think that's as good as we're going to get with that. So.
Okay, very good. Rod?
I'm fine, thanks. No additional questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I guess we have it all there. And that we will, we still have these continuation on these hearings. I'm going to have to close these public hearings there, and let me just go to the public and see if there's any comment from any of the public that is watching. Is there any public comment? Okay, hearing none, I am going to close the special permit as of now. So the special permit is closed on this public hearing. And secondly, is there any comment on the continuation of the re-subdivision application? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to close that hearing entirely. So this is done and it's closed. We're going to move ahead, and Teresa, would you go to down to P20 37S? Teresa?
I'm sorry, Vern. I thought I hit on mute. Continuation of the special permit application of 37 Nettleton Avenue LLC, applicant and owner relative to 37 Nettleton Avenue, map 11, lot 56, plan entitled Proposed Change of Use, 37 Nettleton Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Godfrey Hoffman Hodge LLC, dated 11/6/2020, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IL 30, zoning district. Are we taking this with the plan as well, and do you want me to read that in?
Yeah, but, why don't you read that in here now? That's P 2037. Why don't you
Yeah.
read that in? We're gonna deal with them both at the same time.
Continuation of the site plan application of 37 Nettleton Avenue LLC, applicant and owner, relative to 37 Nettleton Avenue, map 11, lot 56. Plan entitled Proposed Change of Use, 37 Nettleton Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Godfrey Hoffman Hodge LLC, dated 11/6/2020. Scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Okay. Thank you. Is the applicant here for this 37 Nettleton Avenue?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman. This is Jim Rotunda speaking, licensed engineer with Godfrey Hoffman Hodge, located at 26 Broadway in North Haven. Also with me tonight is the applicant, Christian Parsons and Mike Canatone. Since the last meeting, the applicant has met with the neighbor, Mr. Gray at 32 Nettleton, to discuss his concerns with the project. Based on that meeting, there was some discussion. It was agreed upon to install some additional plantings, as well as perform some general site cleanup to inhibit the opportunity for loitering on the site. That included, there was some various signage and guardrails in the front of the site, which were removed, as well as removing picnic tables from the front lawn, which employees had used to sit down after work. So those were relocated. In addition, Mr. Anatone, the applicant, has agreed to install plantings within the site, which will provide a visual vegetative screening to the activities, including the proposed use, as well as the landscaping activities which are occurring on the property. Those plantings are reflected on the revised plans, which were submitted. The tasting room hours for the public have also been reduced from 9 o'clock closing time to 8 o'clock. Revised hours will be from Wednesday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturday from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., and Sunday from 11 p.m. to 6 p.m. We also submitted into the record a letter signed by Mr. Anatone and Mr. Gray, which basically outline and summarize those improvements, which I just talked about. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And as I indicated, the applicant is on the meeting also, who can answer any questions you have.
Well, no, I think that was good. You met with Mr. Gray and you got this ironed out, and he is totally satisfied with everything you reached there.
Based on the applicant, Mr. Anatone's conversations with me, it seems they've come to an amicable agreement, which was outlined in the letter submitted into the record.
Okay, that's good. Okay, well, there's a couple other things here that we may put in on the special permit, but I can go around the room here and see who's got any comments from the commission. Anybody on the commission have anything to say? Brian?
I have a couple of questions, Vern.
Okay,
This
Rick.
is Rich Wilson. So we talked about this before, but I just wanted to make sure there wouldn't be any food trucks at this wine tasting.
That is correct. There's no food trucks, outside seating, or music, which are included in this application.
So no outside entertainment or eating.
That's correct.
All right. And let's see. It's only going to be wine and cider that you have there?
That is correct. That is what is included in their permit, which they will have to submit to the state. As I said, the applicants are on. Mike or Kristen, if I'm speaking out of turn, if you could speak up with that, but that's my understanding. It would be wine or cider.
Right, that's correct.
And Alan, was the lighting outside, is that okay? It's not too much lighting out there to disturb the neighborhood?
Alan Frederickson. We don't have a photometric plan on this. They proposed adding no exterior lighting with this plan. This site plan is basically taken from the site plan that was approved by the commission for application number P20-17, which was kind of an all-purpose cleanup application on the site. So one of the things I've asked for is that all the conditions of approval for application P20-17 be put in force and effect with the approval, any potential approval of this application. So no, to get around to it, we didn't see any problems with the lighting prior, and we had no particular complaints about the exterior lighting prior. So we really didn't voice any objection to that.
Okay. And there's adequate, how about parking? Is there adequate parking on this?
Yes, Alan Frederickson, again, on the western side of the property, there's a fairly large size underutilized lot. I think that Executive Landscaping uses the lot on the eastern side, but there seems to me to be a lot of surplus parking over on the west side. If you go through the math relative to the regs, yes, the regs say there's enough parking.
Okay. I just didn't want a bunch of cars being stacked up out in the street, that's all.
Okay, you all set, Rich?
That's it, Vern.
Okay, Brian? Brian?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Pretty much on board with what Rich said. I just want to make sure that that statute from the state allows us some things that we would not like. And I just, as long as the outside activity is curtailed and there's none, I'm pleased with that.
Okay. Teresa?
Teresa wouldn't be sitting on this one. It would be
Oh,
Paul.
okay. Paul?
Yeah, no, I'm good. And I see that Mr. Gray was saying, yes, he agreed to all this stuff. So, you know, how about your neighbors? Well, we can talk about that later. Anyway, Paul Wyman, alternate, and I just have some concerns about what they're going to sell. That they're going to be limited to selling only what they make in that building, right? So, correct?
That's my understanding, and we're going to make that part of the approval, as there's going to be no resale of anything brought in there and resold there. Everything is going to be made there. It's going to be sold there.
Pardon me, this is Alan Frederickson. Who said correct?
I don't know.
Me.
Paul.
Okay. And Jim, is that your contention that you agree with that they were not intending to sell anything that's not manufactured on site?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay, so there's no particular objection if the commission should choose, as they somewhat posited at the last meeting, to limit it to with that, to add that restriction to the special permit.
I have Mike and Kristen on. Mike or Kristen, are you good with that?
You don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
That was Michael Anatone.
I'm sorry, who said that?
Michael Anatone?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jim?
Yeah, you made the neighbor happy, I'm happy.
Okay. Teresa? Oh, Teresa's not in. Okay, then we're good. We're just going to put those that there's nothing sold that isn't made there. There's no bringing it, no food trucks, no outside entertainment. I think that covers it all. When we get into deliberation, that's what we'll talk about. Okay. Is there anybody here anybody on that would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone?
Yes, I'd like to speak, Vern. This is Mary White.
Okay, Mary, go ahead.
Okay. Mary White, Summer Lane. When I spoke last time about this winemaking business, it was not my intention to sound like I wanted everything limited under the special permit. On the contrary, this business is not an offensive business. The business owner, unlike other business owners, is willing to accept special permit conditions. And these are the following items that were mentioned, and the business owner seemed to agree. Number one, no outside seating. Number two, no outside entertainment. Number three, no food trucks. Number four, no selling of wine by the glass, only samples in the wine tasting room. Number five, limit the hours of public access to the tasting room, although those were not specified. And number six, limit to selling what is made on the site. This location is in an IL 30 zone. There are other businesses that are permitted, which neighbors would consider offensive. Making wine inside a building where the primary business model is mail order sales and where the business owner agrees to special permit conditions should be considered acceptable and a good thing. So I'm in favor of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak in favor? Okay. Anyone would like to speak in opposition? Anyone in opposition to the application? Okay, good. Hearing none. Commission, you're all set. Everybody's satisfied on the commission?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Jim Rotunda speaking again. One of the items that Ms. White spoke about there that I know it had been mentioned in one of the previous discussions was selling wine by the glass. I do believe that the applicant does want to sell wine by the glass and not just sampling within the facility. So I would,
Within the facility.
approval.
Okay. We'll certainly discuss that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Jim, I understand what you're saying. You're going to sell it by the glass, and you're going to have what's this wine tasting and sell your product by the glass in the tasting room.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's what I understood.
Okay.
So, is there anything else there that?
No, sir. I think Mike or Kristen, unless you heard anything you want to discuss.
Please, if you have anything to say, please say it now.
I think that was it.
I guess we're all set, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well, we're hearing none, hearing nothing from everyone on both sides of this commission. We're all set. Does anyone on the commission have anything else? Okay.
I'm just a little curious. Mr. Gray is here. Do you want to say anything, Mr. Gray?
The only thing I would say, you guys have mentioned lighting. The more lighting down here, the better. It keeps the riffraff away.
All right.
I'm okay on lighting.
Sorry, state your name, please.
My name is Michael Gray. I live on 32 Nettleton Avenue.
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm directly across from this establishment.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. And then, like I said, the only thing I heard mentioned that was unique, or sort of semi-unique, it had been mentioned before. I'm okay with the lighting. Let's light her up down here.
Okay. Is there everything else looks pretty good to you?
Oh yeah, I'm very happy.
I didn't know you were there, Michael. I expected you to speak, but in any event, that's good. So that's it. That we're going to continue along, and we're going to close the special permit.
Thank you.
Hey, Vern,
Yes.
this is Rod Williams. There's just one other thing. I just want to say, yeah, that's okay. Before we close it, I think the idea of limiting things to people that they make on the site it's important if we're going to specify that, just because it sounds like we are. But I remember reading, I couldn't find it tonight, but I remember reading that permit allows brandy it allows you to sell brandy if it's made in the state, which is not beer and wine. That's something else. But just to make sure that if that's something that they want to do or not, that was something the permit did allow.
Yeah, the permit did allow, but sounds
like they're willing to not.
Rod.
I'm all set. It just sounds like they're okay not doing that, but so I just wanted to say.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. In any event, I'm going to close the special permit hearing, the public special permit now. So it is closed. There'll be no more information on this. And on the site plan needs nothing else. There's nothing into that. So this application is closed. Okay, Teresa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
P21-01S, Special permit application of Connex Credit Union, Inc., applicant and owner relative to 404 and 412 Washington Avenue, map 85, lot 27, and map 90, lot 61. Plan entitled Site Plan and Special Permit Application Submission to Planning and Zoning, Proposed Upper Washington Multi-Use Development, 404 and 412 Washington Avenue, Connecticut, Route 5, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by BL Companies, dated January 8, 2021, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, CB 40 and R12 zoning districts. And I will read the site plan in as well.
Yeah, please, Teresa, do that.
P21-01, site plan application of Connex Credit Union, Inc., applicant and owner relative to 404 and 412 Washington Avenue, map 85, lot 27, and map 90, lot 61, plan entitled Site Plan and Special Permit Application Submission to Planning and Zoning, Proposed Upper Washington Multi-Use Development, 404 and 412 Washington Avenue, CT, Route 5, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by BL Companies, dated January 8, 2021, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, CB 40 and R12 zoning districts.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Is the applicant here to present?
Yes, hi, good evening. This is John Schmitz with BL Companies, senior engineer with BL. We have our team here with us tonight. I'm just going to introduce them who are online with us, who will be speaking later. With us tonight is Dennis Clemens, who's the Vice President and Chief Information Officer for Connex Credit Union. Also Mike Dion, who's a lead traffic engineer with BL, and Ray Sullivan, who's architect and owner of Sullivan Architecture Group in Milford. He'll be discussing the residential building. If I may, I share the screen. I'm just going to walk you through the site
Please do.
today.
Yes, please do. Continue.
Okay. So you should be seeing a Google aerial image of the site. Today, the site is two parcels, again, 404, 412 Washington Avenue.
Excuse me, Mr. Schmitz, I don't know about anybody else. This is Jennifer Capola, counsel to the commission. I can't see anything.
I don't need to.
No, commission can't.
No, we see nothing.
Hang on.
There you go.
Try this again. Here we go. How's that? Much better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So again, two parcels, 404 and 412 Washington Avenue. Connex Credit Union is currently 12. They're in operation there today. They've been there for a while. And below that to the south is 404, which is existing a Fantasia building that is currently closed right now. Both parcels are now owned by Connex. And before I really get into any of the site plan, I just want to open it up to Dennis Clemens, just let him give a quick overview of Connex and their operation here in North Haven. So Dennis, if you just want to say a few words.
Sure. Yeah. So thank you, John, and thank you to the commission. We've been headquartered in North Haven for 24 years now, and in particular over the last 8 years, just have had tremendous growth. We've more than doubled in size. North Haven's just been fantastic for us. When Fantasia was offered for sale, we purchased the location with the desire to move our headquarter branch next door and keep it next to our current building, which we intend to renovate the branch location in the front to expand our back office operations. We had a meeting on January 20th with some of the residents surrounding the area to discuss any concerns they might have, and I'll hand it back to John. He'll pretty much take it from here.
I'm sorry, can I get your name and who you're with, please?
Sure. Dennis Clemens. I'm the Vice President of Information Technology and Facilities at Connex Credit Union.
And can you spell your last name?
Clemens with a K, K-L-E-M-E-N-Z.
Great, thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. So again, the site plan is, rather the aerial of the existing conditions is in front of you. And just to orient everyone, we are north of 91, to the west side of 91. The driveway you see on the left-hand side is the Amazon driveway that comes out to a signalized intersection on Washington Avenue. Just to the south of Fantasia, it's an aircraft package store. A little further south is the animal hospital. And just off the screen to the south is one of the fire departments. Also to the south, I'll just zoom out a bit, is the Aces Village School, just to the south of us. And then there's multiple residential properties along Robin Court to the east of the site. And to the north of the site is Goodwill, North Haven. They're commercial properties, mostly all along Route 5. We straddle two zones, the CB40 zone, commercial zone along Route 5, and then further to the east is the R12 residential zone. Why we're here tonight is because of the proposal, which we're coming in for a mixed-use project under the Upper Washington Multi-Use Development Zone. And that will include both the commercial development and residential development of the Fantasia parcel. So I'll flip over to the site plan. So this is a rendered copy of the site plan. What we propose to do is the existing bank building, which is currently operates as a corporate headquarters as well as a bank branch for Connex, will stay exactly as it is. The majority of their parking in the front of the building and the rear of the building will also stay as it is. However, the retail bank branch that operates out of that will be replaced with a new bank branch along Route 5 in the front of the southerly parcel. To the rear of the southerly parcel will be a new residential building, which will contain 88 residential units, I believe on 3 stories. The new bank will be approximately 5,452 square feet and contain three drive-through aisles along the rear of the building. One of them will be exclusively just for an ATM. The access to the site will also be changed. Currently, there's 2 access drives for Connex onto Route 5, and there's also 2 access drives for Fantasia. Fantasia does have a drive at the existing traffic signal. This proposal will close their southerly driveway. It will also close one of the driveways to Connex. So we'll be left with a single common boulevard-style driveway at the traffic signal to access both parcels, as well as keeping the northerly driveway for Connex in operation. So you'll be able to circulate throughout the buildings, or rather throughout the parking lots, back to Route 5 and always get back out to the signal. And I'll let Mike Dion talk a little bit further about the traffic when we get to that. I'm going to jump over to the landscape plan, just to give you a little indication of where we are. So we have residential properties along the easterly side of the site, as well as residential uses along the south side of the site. So we've been able to, what we need to do is provide some buffers to those properties, 25 feet on the side, 50 to the rear. And what we've done is to provide double rows of evergreens and arborvitae in those areas to further buffer those properties. We're also maintaining as much of the existing wooded areas there as possible. As you know, Fantasia, today their building is up close to the road. All of their parking is to the rear and goes all the way back to that 50-foot line. We'll be removing all of that parking in order to construct the residential building and replacing some of that with the with landscaping. With regards to stormwater, just a brief overview here. All the stormwater on the site flows in 2 directions. It's collected today in 2 systems and flows out into the state system in Route 5. And then there's also another system with a ditch that collects runoff from a culvert from Robin Court. It's discharged onto the site. The runoff runs through the ditch and then is just piped to an outlet on the southerly side of the site that drains onto abutting property. We are slightly increasing the impervious area on site. So we're be detaining stormwater with an underground detention system. We'll be putting in multiple hydrodynamic separators on the site for water quality purposes that will achieve our 80% total suspended solids removal. Again, also infiltrating the first inch of runoff corresponding to the increase in runoff that we'll have as a result of the impervious coverage. All utilities are on site available to us today. Given that we're on along Route 5, everything is there. We have sanitary and storm, electric, gas, water, and we can connect to all those services from Fantasia will be disconnected when that building's demolished. We'll be able to reuse some of those for both the new bank as well as the new residential building. Just a few numbers to throw at you as far as parking goes. When all said and done, the existing Connex building, which will remain as our headquarters, will have 85 parking spaces dedicated to it. The bank will have 25 parking spaces, and the residential building will have a total of 117 parking spaces. Included with this proposal is a lot line revision. So in order to get all the bulk standards to work and to accommodate the project, what we've done is to jump back here to the site plan. What we've done here is to create a proposed lot line, which I'll highlight here in red. We'll be chopping off the rear portion of the existing Connex parcel, and that land, which is roughly about 1.6 acres, will be deeded over to the L-shaped parcel where Fantasia is today. So in the end, we'll still have two parcels on the same amount of land, but with that lot line revision, we'll be able to meet all the bulk standards with regards to parking and whatnot. So that was important to point out. Again, the site plans include a photometric plan as well as erosion control plan. Erosion controls would include a anti-tracking apron during construction, as well as silt sacks, silt fence, stockpiles. Various best management practices will be used to prohibit sediment from migrating off the site or contaminating other properties. There's also operations and maintenance schedule included in the stormwater management report that was provided, that provides for the long-term maintenance and operation of the entire stormwater system, collection system, as well as the hydrodynamic separators and the underground system itself. We did receive comments from town staff, and we responded to those comments with a revised letter and revised plans recently. We also met with the fire marshal. I'll let Ray talk a little bit about that because he met with him. We also exchanged some emails with him last week. He's seen the plans and is happy with how we propose to handle access to the site and to the buildings. And with that, what I'm going to do is turn things over to Ray, and he can walk you through. I'll stop my share. And I'll turn things over to Ray, and he can bring you up to speed on the residential building.
Thanks, John. Okay, I'm going to do a share screen myself. Where are we? Here we can everybody see that image?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So this is a view from Washington. My name is Ray Sullivan of the Sullivan Architectural Group. We're located at 155 Broad Street in Milford. So this is a view depicting the Connex Bank in front and the multi-story building, the multi-family building, in the rear. That rear building is L-shaped. It's going to house 88 units. Of the 88 units, 77 units will be either of a studio or one-bedroom type. 11 units will be two bedrooms. The gross floor area of each floor is approximately 28,000 square feet, with a total of approximately 84,000 square feet in total. The building is 3 stories tall. It's 35 feet to the height of the parapet. There's some illustrations later. The parapet jumps up and down, but that parapet is the highest point of the roof. The main roof itself is about 1.5 feet to 2 feet lower than that. So this is a typical floor plan. And just quickly, we've got a, in the center, angle, we've got an elevator shaft, and we've got stair towers on both ends. Of the 88 units, 10% of the units will be what we call a type A adaptable unit. So every unit will be ADA adaptable. 10% of them will be type A unit, which has a higher level of adaptability to it. And 90% of the units, will be what we call a type B, also an adaptable unit, just slightly less adaptable than the type A unit, but these meet the, you know, the state regulations. The building will be supported with an NFPA 13 fire sprinkler suppression system. All the units, you know, as well as the corridors, will be protected with 1 hour construction of walls, floors, and ceilings, so that there's a it's a safety factor to be in the units. The units are protected from one another. All the corridors are 1 hour rated, and the stair shafts are also 1 hour rated. You know, forming an effective fire envelope and a means of egress. All units, you know, meet or exceed the airborne or impact noise code standards. So one thing we have to be careful of in these multifamilies is that the these common use buildings, you know, the airborne is the, you know, kind of what you hear if somebody's talking or playing the TV. The impact noise is somebody above you maybe drops a plate, but you know, we have to be careful how we construct these things, how to isolate those sounds and minimize the transition of those sounds. And so, you know, all the partitions, you know, in the building, you know, meet or exceed those standards. And all the units are also provided with smoke, CO, and fire alarm systems. This might be a good illustration. No, I'll react to the fire marshal in a second. So this is just a typical building section. The highest point to that those parapets is 35 feet. If we have the standard residential condensers, they'd be in the middle of the roof, so you'd have to be, you know, well over 700 feet away to even catch the top of it, if you could even see that. You know, there won't be any large rooftop equipment that's sitting down on the ground, you know, so the corridors will be handled by cassette units. And so there's really a minimal amount of visible mechanical equipment. So here's a closer view of the front of the building. You know, see the building, you know, entry is at the angle. You can see every unit has its own deck. You know, because of the mechanical system we're using, we're actually able to provide larger decks than what we typically do. And the general character of the building is a little bit contemporary in nature. And what it is it's consistent with the Connex Bank in front. So we could take a look at the site plan in the complex, you know, and make a coherent statement, you know, with it all. The general materials being used, you know, we've got all these pilasters are on the bottom, you know, are stone, and they transition to a brick, and the brick usually forms an outline, you know, of the balconies, as you can see in this rendering. And then the major material is a stucco in an ephes format, and you know, we have these deep shadow lines, you know, in grooves, so that we can create a grid in that stucco, so that, you know, we can kind of get the, you know, the break down the proportion of the building and align it with adjacent materials, you know, as you can see here. Regarding the conversation with the fire marshal, the building as is, you know, is compliant with the fire code. The fire marshal would, you know, would like to have better access, and we completely, you know, hear his concern with, you know, trying to get as best access as possible, you know, God forbid there is an incident. So, and so on the north side, the fire truck is able to pull off the parking lot and pull partway down into the building. And on the south side, or the left side of the sheet, you know, he's able to pull into an area at the back of Connex Bank that's being provided to them. And then, so what happens is that there will be a walkway that goes from one vehicle to the other, and actually all the way over to the parking, so that what there is there's a 5 foot wide concrete sidewalk that the fire marshal wants to make sure is maintained, you know, particularly in winter conditions, so that any fire personnel can safely get around the building. There's this dot that's shown in the middle here is the midpoint of the two trucks. So, you know, the code says when a truck stops, the maximum hose pull is 450 feet in either direction. And, you know, here I think we're just above 262 feet. So, you know, we're pretty, you know, far underneath what the maximum requirement is, but but again, we've had the discussion with the fire marshal. We've gone back and forth, and I believe he's happy with the access. One point I wanted to make was, if I go back to the plan, this happens to be the typical floor plan, but in the area below, south of this elevator lobby, is a ground floor amenity area. So the ground floor amenity area will include a club room, a fitness center, as well as a business center. And, you may have seen on John's site plan that there's actually an exterior amenity area. We'll have an outdoor fireplace, a couple of fire pits, a couple of grills, and just, general outdoor area, for the residents, to get outside. So the colors in general, are this soft earth tone. And again, we're trying to follow in sequence with Connex Bank to make a consistent complex. And that's the end of this portion of the presentation, unless there are any questions.
Okay, you're gonna have someone else come up now.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have Mike Dion, traffic engineer with BL, is gonna the quick overview of traffic proposed at the site.
Good evening. I'll share my screen as well because the picture is a lot better than just me talking numbers and letters at you. For the record, my name is Mike Dion, D-I-O-N. I am a professional engineer and professional traffic operations engineer. In the state of Connecticut, I lead the traffic group at BL Companies. And as you know, we are here for 404 and 412 Washington Avenue. Again, I'll just go through some of the stuff we talked about already. It is the existing Connex Credit Building and the lot next door, the old Fantasia Banquet Hall. It's across from the currently open and operational Amazon Distribution Center, and we're looking at 88 apartments, the bank, and the corporate offices for Connex. What we did for our traffic impact study is what we want to do is we take a look at, we do our data collection effort. And when we do that is we look at how many trips are going to be generated, and then we spread out and look at which are the major intersections we want to look at in the area. And what we did is we came up with 5 intersections that we wanted to look at. And we looked at the AM and PM peak hours, because that's when the commuting public is going to be on the road. So we want to make sure we're not impacting them too much. What we did is we did get counts were made available from the Department of Transportation based on the development across the street and some historical data they have. We went and did counts at the existing Connex Drive just to do some verification on our own, and we did that last month. We also went out and did a field inventory of the project where we took photographs of all the intersections. What we want to do is we want to verify all the roadway geometry and lane arrangements that are out there for our traffic signal plans and our analyses. And again, as we said, we have historical 24-hour data from the department as well. And what we do with this data is we take it and we map out the existing traffic counts in the area. And then what we did is we also went to the town and to the DOT to see what other developments are in the area that could be impacting the traffic that are either approved or going to be approved. And we did find one across the street, which is 441 and 447 Washington Avenue. So we incorporated those traffic volumes into our traffic volumes. And what we come up with is what we consider our no-build analysis. And that's when, if our site was not constructed, the traffic operations on the street network. And then what we do is we take the trips that we're going to be anticipating generated by our site. And what we do with that is we use the Institute of Transportation Engineers, the ITE, and they have land use codes that you use to come up with estimated trip numbers for these types of sites. The ITE has been around for almost 60 years now, and they update every year with studies on traffic generation numbers. And what we did is, again, we looked at the AM and PM, and when we look at the residences, the bank, and the office space that is there, we come up with a net new trips in the AM peak hour of 115 trips, and the PM peak hour of traffic is 146 trips. And what we do with that data is we spread it out to our traffic network and our volumes, and we put it into a traffic program called Synchro. And what this does is it calculates the delay that the general public would expect to see at each intersection in the study area. And what it does with that delay is it assigns a letter grade, just like you were in school, A being the best and F being failed. And what we found when we went out there and ran our analyses is that everybody, I think, in town knows that the Amazon driveway does not operate quite as it should or as Amazon expected it to operate. So what we did is we came up with some improvement ideas that we wanted to make some timing changes and go to the state with. And this does include some of those improvements. And what you can see is with the intersections we're looking at here is the I-91 ramps, the site driveway, and Bradley Street, is that in the AM peak hour, everything operates at a level of service A or B. And when we bring in our development here, and with some of the timing improvements we're suggesting, we do get the site driveway to operate at an A condition. When we go to the PM peak, what you can see is that the site driveway, an Amazon driveway, operates as an F. And when we add our traffic to it, as you would understand, it would operate worse. But what we're proposing is some timing changes to get that up to an E. And if you read our traffic study, we actually are proposing even additional changes to the Office of State Traffic Administration. So what we're looking at is this site is going to have to go to OSTA. So we are looking at proposing that they work with Amazon and OSTA to come up with some new operations on the site drive. What we feel is when we're looking at it is that the Amazon driveway probably doesn't need a double left out. What it really needs is a double right out. We think a lot of their traffic is heading south from our traffic counts. So that's a lot more in-depth analysis and conversations with Amazon than what our client would have to make. And that this is something that OSTA would have to do. So with our conclusions, what we want to do is, again, work with ConnDOT and OSTA to come up with a solution for the Amazon site drive. We want to extend the southbound Washington Avenue left turn lane into our site to operate on our signalized driveway and install stop signs and stop bars at our northerly site drive. And I'll turn it back over to John, and he can close us out.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, for the most part, that concludes our presentation. I would be happy to answer any questions from any of the team regarding the site or future operations. Thanks.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Is all the stormwater controlled off the surface of the pavement since you're putting so much pavement there? Everything is being picked up by manholes in the back?
That's correct. So we have the existing Connex building has an existing stormwater system, as well as Fantasia has a stormwater system. We'll be saving as much of those systems as possible. But obviously with the new parking areas, the buildings, we'll be supplementing that with some new catch basins and a new underground detention system as well.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I've got some real traffic questions. So let me start with, I don't understand. You're telling me that the signal at Amazon is bad and it's going to get worse, but you're proposing changes with the state and with Amazon. Are they going to do those changes? Do we have any idea?
Sure, Jim. This is Mike Dion. What we're proposing is some timing revisions that will not make it worse, so it'll actually improve slightly in the PM peak. We are aware, I believe, that the Department of Transportation already knows about this traffic signal and is investigating what they can do. I believe because of the 441, 447 project, it was brought to their attention.
I could be mistaken, but I thought there was a proposed lane change that already was proposed and happened or didn't happen, which wasn't what you were talking about. But what I'm asking you is, you are saying that these changes should be made. How do we know they're going to get made?
I cannot say that OSTA will make those changes.
Fair enough. So we don't know that they're going to.
Yeah, you're right. We do not know.
That
It's
that
very-
makes me very uncomfortable, just so that
Yeah.
you know. But let me ask you another question, because I love traffic studies, because we get them all the time, and I've never seen one ever that says, even though we're going to add a whole bunch more cars, nothing's going to get worse. Never seen a report that says it. And this one's the same as all the other ones. But here's my big question. When you brought up on the screen before of how many additional cars you're going to add at the peak time, you had the bank at like 48, and you had this place at 35 or something like that. Do you have that screen?
I do.
And what does it have for the 88 apartments adding during the day? 36.
Yeah, during the AM peak hour, there's 36.
How is that
PM peak
possible?
hour, it's 44.
How's that possible with 88 units, some of them 2-bedroom?
Yep. So what
will have at least 2 cars.
Yep. So what we analyze, Jim, is the peak hour of the traffic. So when you look at the 88 units, there will be your peak, your AM traffic is essentially, let's say 4 in the morning until 11 in the morning. That's what they consider your AM peak. So you could have, 20% leaving this hour, 10% leaving this hour. So it's spread out over that time. And what we look at is the peak 1 hour of traffic on the main street, which
and when is that? The peak
the peak 1 hour is between usually, and that's why we do traffic counts, is between 7 and 9 a.m. in the morning. That's your peak commuting time.
I would agree.
So we take the top 4 15-minute volumes in that time period and to get our very peak hour of that traffic there. And then what we do is you take the ITE will give you trip generation numbers for your site, which in this case is the 36 cars coming out. And that's just for 1 hour, which could be, the 7 to 8 hour.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem realistic to me. It just doesn't. If you have 88 units and most people in there are going to be working, it's not an elderly housing project, right? So 88 units, many of them 2-bedroom, all of them I would think are going to, you've got 118 spaces. So there'd be at least 118 spaces, but you only have 36 coming out at peak time. Again, that's what it says. I don't buy it. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I get that from some people all the time, and it is, as I said, ITE, the Institute of Transportation Engineers, has been around for 60 years now, collecting data. Every year they collect data, they'll come out with new supplementals to this manual. We're on the 10th edition already, and it's the industry standard for coming up with trip generation.
Okay, again, and you're right. I'm sure it's the same one because I've had this argument every time I get studies. The other question I have is, you said you took some counts from the state, right? Some from state studies?
Yes.
Okay. When were those studies done?
They were done for 441 and 447. We also had counts from,
I'm asking about time, year. When were they done? Were they done before Amazon went into full operation or after?
They were done after, and we had the Amazon study, and we had volumes from an Amazon study in Wallingford that the state had provided us, and we balanced them all, submitted them back to the state, and they agreed with our numbers.
So where are the state numbers? Are they in this report somewhere for after Amazon?
They should be in the report. Well, or at least we have the volume diagrams.
So where would I find it? Because I'm concerned that the volumes are the operation of Amazon has been different than we thought. And I thought that traffic study was problematic too, but I don't know that it would have made a difference in whether we would have approved Amazon. But I'm concerned because when you on that road, when Amazon is going in or coming out, the traffic jams up for sure.
Yes.
Across from where you're talking about building this. So I just want to, you're telling me it's not going to be worse, although you're kind of hedging your bets a little bit as I read this.
Mr. Just, excuse me, this is Jennifer Capola, counsel for the commission. Mike, just in terms of what you're sharing at this point,
Yeah, I have no idea.
it's like, you know, just be careful about that.
All right, sorry.
I didn't know if you're going to write anything about any of the P and Z members. Well,
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be all right.
Yeah, so we use the volumes from OSTA, policy and planning build traffic volumes for OSTA 100-190-01. And they are in the appendix, so I can, let's see, go back to my appendix and see when they were done.
I don't want to hold everybody up. Maybe you just give me a page or something on this thing, and I'll look at it while we move on.
So in the appendix, if you go back to,
Yep.
it's like page 32 and 33 of the traffic impact study from Marlon and McBroom.
Okay, I'm going to defer to let someone else talk while I look at it.
Yeah, Jim, take a good look at this. Get yourself certainly satisfied on what we're looking at here, because
I'm not positive I'm ever going to be satisfied, Vern.
well, get yourself satisfied that you know what you're looking at, because
Okay,
you know,
that's a fair comment. Okay, I will do that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Brian, have you?
Yeah, Vern, I do. I want to just elaborate on a little bit what Jim said in a different manner. In that Stillman Road, going from the Clintonville Road overpass to Bishop Street and whatnot by State Street, goes all the way down to Amazon. And I thought at one point in time that was going to be used by trucks and by drivers to get on 991, and whether I think you get on going south there, instead of using Washington Avenue. Is that part of the traffic study? Do you have those numbers? How many people just jump out of Amazon and go down and get on right at Route 12, or anybody go down Stillman Road? Or is Stillman Road even completed to be able to do that?
Brian, Lockley here, real quick. Yeah, you're talking about the Valley Service Road extension project.
Yeah.
And that actually has just started construction just last week. So that is underway and getting started. As I understand it, none of the traffic studies that were done assumed that that road would be open. Amazon obtained their traffic permit through the state without the Valley Service Road connection. So, everything is operating without that being in place. Obviously, our intent is, and we've got financing to do it, to complete that road. And the hope is to divert some of the truck traffic off of Route 5 and be able to take that back road through Valley Service.
Okay, thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. That's it.
Is that it, Brian?
Yeah, Vern, that's it. I just had one comment. I like that common driveway because one of the other concerns I had is for stacking for the bank, and not to have any more cars, bumping out on Washington Avenue than we have to have. And that's a good idea. That part works for me there. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. Rich. Okay.
I have to agree that I'm happy that they got rid of one of those driveways, so people are not, racing in and out. I like that. So, if the Service Valley Road is being opened up, that will certainly take a lot of traffic off going south, coming out of the Amazon driveway. So, be interesting to know how that's going to come along. That's
Okay.
it, Vern.
Okay, that's good. Paul?
Yeah, this is Paul Wyman. I just have a couple questions. One of them is, did you measure the traffic flow out onto Devco Park Road from the back of Amazon? Because there's a exit there that it was supposed to be for seasonal traffic originally, I believe. And a lot of the trucks, tractor trailers, and cars come up the Devco Park Road side. So if there's a clog in the main entrance and exit, they're going to be coming out the other end. they're going to go to point of least resistance.
Paul, for the record, Mike Dion again, we did not analyze any other entrances and exits out of Amazon, just on Washington Avenue.
Okay, Paul Wyman again. I'm very happy to hear about the Valley Service Road, because I don't think it's that far from where the back of the property is from Amazon, and it'll bring a lot of traffic that at least that's going out 91 and getting on the Merritt, the Wilbur Cross Parkway. So that's a very good thing for the traffic up on that end of the town. So.
Paul, you all set?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, Rod?
Thanks, Fern. Following on what Jim said, it's not just 34, 35, or 36 or whatever. It's 27 trips out in the morning on that little table we were looking at. So of the 118 or whatever, it'd be 20, fewer than 30 something. But I also just am having a hard time wrapping my head around the notion that this much volume could be added, and the small tweaks could actually, to the timing of the lights, could still not have traffic getting worse. So I defer to the computer ITE thing or whatever, if that's actually accurate. It just doesn't seem logically possible. That's all I have to say.
Okay, Rod, thank you. Everybody, Jim, are you satisfied with what you got there?
Hey, Vern.
Oh, I'm sorry, Teresa.
Really?
Listen, you're doing such a great job as the secretary. I overlook.
Yeah, that's what I aspire to, reading from the, never mind.
Please, Teresa, go ahead.
Don't. Okay. I have a few questions. Let me start with, there is no affordable component. Did I miss that, or is that something that we didn't consider?
This is John Schmitz with BL. There is no affordability component. These are all market rate apartments.
Okay. I mean, are you aware that we have nicely asked for at least 10% affordable for apartments, considering that anything you put here keeps adding to our issue with affordable housing in our town?
I don't think that the 10% has been discussed with the developer. I don't know, Ray Sullivan, if you have anything to add to that, if you've spoken to Vigliotti's or if they're aware of that. I know you've done some other work.
Mr. Vigliotti is well aware of that.
I understand.
Past.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understand.
Okay.
I'm asked because Ray is the architect who also worked on some other projects in the area in this zone.
So it hasn't come up on this project, but Mr. Vigliotti has been very amenable to adding affordable housing if that's necessary.
Yes, Mr.
Teresa,
Vigliotti has been great with that.
Teresa, this is Alan Frederickson. I can't speak to the request per se. The regulation that was put in place, which was prior to the West Side regulation, had no affordability component. And when the prior units were approved just on the Fantasia property, there was no request for them, nor was there any mention in the regulations. So that's probably the reason that it didn't come up. Nothing.
I thought about
Alan, but this is a new application, Alan, right?
I'm totally with
not
you.
the old one. So there's nothing that prohibits it from being.
Absolutely correct.
Okay,
Yep.
I'm just
trying to
why
explain.
it's sticking in there. Okay.
No, I'm just trying to explain why it's not there right now.
Well, yeah, well, okay, good enough. That's good.
Okay, second, I assume there will be children. And I mean, Mr. Vigliotti knows this is, and Ray, I think you're aware, we discussed this on the last Vigliotti project. Is there a place for children to go and play? Because they are going to be in this complex and they are going to need to be somewhere. So I'm going to have that same concern that I had on the other side of Washington Avenue, that I don't see any place for them to have any recreation at all.
Teresa, we have the property's L-shaped. The
Right.
previous approval had in that the L section in the back was completely covered with parking, stormwater drainage, and lighting. We're not touching that. So we have really a pretty substantial piece of property that's untouched. So if it's best for us to kind of define play areas and things like that, we'd be happy to. But we have a very substantial piece of property back there, unaccounted for at this point.
Okay, all right, no, I see that, thank you. And I don't want to nitpick, but where would garbage and everything be, unless I'm missing that on the plan?
I think it shows up sheet on that piece of property behind the existing Connex facility.
Correct. There would be one dumpster for the bank, dedicated to the bank in front. There would be another dumpster in the back. So Connex today already has a dumpster. It'll be relocated due to the parking revisions. Their dumpster will be relocated to the west side. The north side of their lot. And then again, at the north side of the lot, there'll be another dumpster for the residential building.
Okay, I think I see it. So it's in the corner back against, not against, but where you abut residential? Is that where I see it in that?
In the northeast corner. That's correct. Yeah.
We've had issues, and I'm not saying you guys will be the same, but we've had issues when we put dumpsters back there next to residential. If garbage starts coming out, I'm not saying that's going to happen. Just maybe consider moving it down a little bit more to the west, northwest, just a suggestion. And how do you feel about snow removal? Because I know this year was a pretty crazy year. You think you have adequate room. I think you do too, but just wanted to hear you talk about snow.
Yeah, so two things with snow. Yeah, I think we've got enough landscaping. The regs do require that we provide landscape islands at the end of parking rows. Require that we have no parking rows longer than 16 feet. And so I think around the perimeter of the site, there's adequate storage for snow. The other thing to consider with snow is that from a stormwater standpoint, what we want to do is make sure that as the snow melts, any pollutants that get picked up in the snow, as the snow melts, those pollutants, get treated the same as if it was just regular old runoff, and they'll get taken through the dynamic separators and oil grit separators. So I think by storing the snow in those perimeter areas as it melts, it'll still be able to get into the stormwater system and be treated as if it were just regular runoff from rainstorm.
Okay, one more little thing. You have bike racks, and you might have them. I didn't check, but I would say if we need them, we should have them.
Currently, we're not showing any bike racks. Staff, Alan did have John Schmidt, Alan did have a comment about adding bike racks, and we're certainly amenable to that, to finding a location on site for those.
All right, and I want to say thank you for the lighting plan that takes into consideration the neighbors in the back. That's great. So thank you. All right, Vern, I am done.
Okay, Teresa, thank you.
Well, Brian, I just had one additional question I failed to mention, and going a little bit what Teresa had to say is, once again, children or adults walking towards the front, if I don't know where the school buses will come to pick up the children, but there's a lot of activity on those roadways there, the driveways there. Is there any cross-hatching or anything that the children or the adults maybe going to maybe get a Connecticut company bus on Route 5 will have the safety of to get from their apartments to the road, or will the school bus be coming back for the kids? Just a minor thing, but something that could have a real big impact.
So again, this is John Schmitz with BL. Two things to consider. One, I haven't spoken to anybody in North Haven's Board of Ed, but it's been my experience that school buses do not come onto private property. So it would be, if there was a school bus stop, or if a school bus were stopping, it would stop on Route 5. We do provide sidewalks throughout the development, all along Route 5 and into both bank buildings, as well as all the way to the back to the residential. So there's adequate sidewalks and crosswalks for the public to get to the state right away.
Thank you.
Okay, you all set, Brian?
Yes, Vern, thank you.
Okay. Andy, are you with us, Andy?
I am indeed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, sir. Would you comment on this project for me? As you see all the drainage and all the runoff and
Yes, I have reviewed the drainage calculations and the layout of the drainage system. I had a number of comments in my first round of comments. I'm satisfied with the revisions that they've made. I'm satisfied with the way the drainage system is set up.
the whole project looks fine to you?
Yes. Yep.
It does. Okay, very good, Andy. Thank you. Jim?
Well, I would like to hear from the public, but I got to tell you, the traffic thing bothers me because their summary talks about making changes that I have no idea they're going to be able to make. So it seems to me that we've got a bad condition there that's probably going to get worse. I don't know that they're going to make it substantially worse. I think Amazon has made it pretty bad. And we kind of knew that. I'm just a little hesitant going forward when, it's the language they use in the report is pretty neat. It says traffic operations for the overall intersection LOS during peak hours at all intersections except Route 5 and Amazon. So we're going to be okay everywhere except the one that's right across the street. So I have some misgivings about that. I'm very interested to see whether I've never been a big fan about these apartments, and they're even worse when they're going to cause us a bigger problem with the affordable issue. And the affordable issue is getting more publicity at the state. It isn't going away. It's going to continue to be a problem. If they can, I would be much happier if I knew that there was going to be a component of this that was going to not make us go backwards in the affordable. That's all I have until I hear from.
Okay, good enough, Jim. Thanks.
There'll be some people here that are neighbor. I saw Robin Court out there somewhere.
Well, let's see what they got to say. I'm going out to the public now, Jim.
Okay.
As long as you're satisfied. Okay, good enough. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would be in opposition?
Yes, Clint Walker here from 28 Robin Court.
Sure, by all means, Clint.
We have a few things. My wife Danielle has a couple of things she wants to bring up, but I want to go back to the traffic report. When was that traffic study done specifically? Was it done in the last year?
For the record, Mike Dion with BL Companies. Yes, it was done in the last year, but the traffic counts themselves for 441, 447 were done in 2018. The volumes for the Amazon and Wallingford were 2019. So we used volumes that were pre-COVID. And when we went up to DOT with them, they adjust them up or down how they feel necessary.
All right, thank you. You want to go?
Yeah, I have a couple of issues that are of concern to us as residents who are basically going to be butted up against this development.
Excuse me, would you identify yourself?
Danielle Walker.
Okay.
A resident at 28 Robin Court.
Okay, go ahead.
So the first is that one of the dumpsters is being put essentially in the buffer area or close to the buffer area behind one of our neighbors, Tomaselli's, I believe, who are a couple of houses down from us. My husband has talked to a number of friends at work who have got property that's over near basically the little strip mall area across from Big Y supermarket. There are a number of eateries there, and they've got food and they've got dumpsters that are very close to the properties. And I think what Teresa was mentioning earlier, I'd like to touch on that because I think the problem that they were mentioning that nobody wanted to say was rats. And that's very obviously a concern. I have a 9-year-old daughter. We have a puppy that runs around in the backyard. We get field mice in the winter and it's nothing that we can't deal with. I am very concerned about the possibility of disease and of my kid or their puppy being bitten by rats that are brought into the area because of this dumpster being so close to residential properties. Is it possible for it to be moved further upwards in the Washington Avenue properties?
Yeah, we will look in, he will respond to you when everything is said and done. He'll respond to all of your questions, if is what we're going to try to accomplish here, not individually all at once.
Right. Fire pits were mentioned in the sort of recreational area of the apartments, which is not something that was mentioned previously in any of the meetings. That's obviously a concern for fire danger. Open fire pits outdoors, pretty much butted up against our property, is a little bit worrisome.
Okay, well, I can answer for that, and you know, anything that goes on like that, the fire marshal will be notified in respect to that, and there certainly isn't going to be anything like that to endanger anything there. But continue along, Danielle.
Okay. The other thing that I was a little bit concerned about is there was originally a 50-foot buffer that was granted to the residents of this street between Fantasia's parking lot and our properties to try and give a little bit of privacy. Now, our next door neighbors, the Capadaglis, it's pretty much woods all the way to Connex's parking lot, which is great. It gives them a privacy buffer. The 50-foot buffer that we have, at one point, I want to say a year or 2 years before Fantasia closed down, the owner came back with an earth mover, and there was a lot of scrub. There was a lot of native plants back there. He plowed everything under and started cutting down existing oak trees and telling us, oh, he just wants to clean it up and make it look more tidy. What he did was remove a good chunk of the privacy buffer. Now, the plants that are in there don't seem like much, but as a example, we've got staghorn sumac back there, which is a native plant to Connecticut. It's a very important food source to native birds and wildlife. And I guess my concern is if they're going to come back there and try and plant more of the arborvitae, that's great. It's wonderful for privacy. I received a letter in the mail after the January meeting suggesting from Connex that they wanted to take some of the small arborvitae, or smaller, that were at the edge of the 50-foot buffer and move them back to our fence, in addition to taking some of the arborvitae that are quite substantially sized that are in the divider between Connex and Fantasia's property and moving them back. My husband works at the Yale School of Forestry and IT. I asked him, you know, can you talk with one of the professors and see, those are huge trees. The taproot is going to get destroyed when they try and pull those up. Then they're going to shove them in the ground. They're going to die. They'll be dead in a season. And he spoke with one of the professors there who agreed that unless there was someone on site who knew what they were doing and unearthed very large, substantial root balls, the likelihood of those trees surviving is not great. I'm very concerned that the trees that are currently in the buffer that are 25, 30 years old, that were planted when Fantasia first came, are going to get pulled up and moved back towards our fence line. All that's going to happen is they're going to die. You can't transplant trees that size and expect them to survive without extensive care and a good deal of luck. And I worry that that's going to just further denude an already very sparse buffer. When you compare it to our neighbors on either side, they have a much thicker buffer. Ours is the one that got mowed down, that he was trying to clean up or tidy. And the result of that is, were it not for a pine tree that I planted years and years ago that blocks some of the light, all we can see is Washington Avenue and Fantasia. There's almost no privacy. And I'm concerned that if they're uprooting and attempting to replant trees, that's going to be a buffer that is dead in a season. And then we're right back where we started from. And I worry about the accountability of the developer if everything dies, are they going to come back and replace it? Because that's what Fantasia told us they would do, that anything that died, they would come back, they would fix it, they would make it right. And they never did. In fact, it was a continuation of more oak trees and old growth trees that were taken down. So my concern is that we're just going to see more of that.
No. Okay, Danielle, does that wind up your concerns?
That's pretty much it. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Clint, you're all set?
I'm all set. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you again for your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this application? Anyone else? Any comments? Okay. hearing
Yes,
none,
hello, Vern. This is
Mary
Mary
White,
White.
go ahead.
Can I speak?
By all means.
Okay. Mary White, Summer Lane. I just have, I guess, a question and then maybe a suggestion. So 88 units, 2 cars per unit. If my math is correct, that's 176 cars. How many spaces are dedicated for the residential building? And that's my question. And as far as the screen plantings, our neighbors had planted arborvitaes, but the species that they had planted was called little giant arborvitaes. And those things grow, I mean, I can't tell you, they are huge and they grow quickly. And it looks like they grow at least a foot or more a year. They get wide, they get thick, they get tall. So they may be a little more expensive than the other arborvitaes that are typical, but they get very large. And so that I would suggest that they be incorporated into the planting plan, especially where there is space in the buffer. They're just wonderful. It's at the point where they just planted them, I think maybe a couple years ago, and they have a colonial, and it's already like where I can just see a little bit of the roof, and these are not done growing. Pretty soon I won't be able to see the house. So anyway, so that's what I have. And I also have concern about the traffic. It's going to be, it's just going to be a parking lot. It's going to be unbelievable. Traffic jam there. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, Mary, thank you. Thank you again. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? Anyone have any comments? Okay, hearing none.
I'm sorry, I do have one other question. It's not an opposition, it's more of a question.
Sure, by all means, bring it on.
I know that
Miss-
I'm sorry,
We
Danielle
identified-
Walker.
Okay,
I know our neighbors, the Capadaglis, had mentioned in previous meetings fencing that was supposedly going to be put up to sort of add to the privacy factor between us and the Washington Avenue property. I did have a question as to, has there been a size that has been solidified on how tall this fence is going to be and where it's going to be located? Are they talking about doing the fence at the edge of the 50-foot buffer where the separation between the buffer and the property begins? Or are they talking about putting this fencing up against the residential properties?
okay. You all set, Danielle?
Yep, just wanted clarification on exactly where the fences were going.
Sure enough, thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, hearing none, we go back to the applicant. And would you want to respond to some of these questions?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. John Schmitz again with BL. I'm going to share my screen and bring up the site plan just so we can look at that. So you should see the rendered site plan here. I'm just going to circle. There's one of the dumpsters. I'll try and address all these and in order. There's a dumpster located at this location here. This line is the 50-foot buffer to the rear property. The dumpsters, roughly, I'd say considerably 75 feet, if not more, away. More than happy to shift the location of that. This dumpster could very easily be placed over in this location, further to the west. We would just swap the parking spaces, right? So the dumpster could move to the west. There's about at least 10 parking spaces, so 9 feet. You're talking about another 100 feet or so. The dumpster can be moved over at least 100 feet. Still needs to stay on that same parcel because it's serving the residential proposed building. But we can certainly shift it over and get that at least another 100 feet further away, provide a little bit more buffer there. A couple other things. There was I'm going to see if I can go to the aerial if I still have that up. Because this kind of, I don't know if this shows it very well. This is the existing property, the existing rear edge of the parking lot for Fantasia. And I think these properties here are the ones that abut closest to it. There's about a 50-foot buffer there. As the neighbor indicated, some of that has been cleared away by the previous owner. And so what we're proposing to do is, again, supplement that with some more plantings in the arborvitae. My understanding was at the last meeting, which I had missed, which is a meeting between the neighbors and Connex, have been discussed about potentially putting more arborvitae back there against their fence to help screen it better than what's there now. Admittedly, transplanting anything, especially mature trees, arborvitae, is not a simple process. The contractor would have to take special care and be under the review of probably an arborist, landscaper, to properly remove the trees for one, and then to place them in a manner that they could be replanted and have a good chance at surviving. Now that would include watering throughout the growing season to make sure that they take. So I'd say a couple of things. One is that the plans show plantings in those areas. The contractor is would be under a warranty to the owner. Once they install plantings, those plantings are warranted for a year, and anything that's dead or dying would need to be replaced under the warranty to the owner. The arborvitaes, if they were replanted, if they died, wouldn't carry the same warranty because they're not coming from a nursery. If things die, typically the warranty is carried to the nursery. If those died, they could certainly be replaced with new plantings, new little giant arborvitaes. But I'd also note that this is a special permit, and as such, improvements to a special permit are part of the approval. So if a tree died and wasn't replaced, we would be in violation of the special permit. So if there were items out there that in the future were not in keeping with the special permit, the applicant would be in violation. So it certainly behooves them to make sure that all the landscaping, everything is in good condition. So as far as accountability goes, we're required to maintain it and required to replace it under the special permit. I will let Mike Dion talk a little bit about the traffic. The one thing
well, just before we leave that issue, when you say it's part of the special permit, is there a planting plan here? I mean, something that somebody can go back and look and say, it's not just a 50-foot buffer. You were supposed to have these trees, and these trees. Is there a plan somewhere saying what trees are going to be in there?
There are. So we did provide an LL plan. This is just a rendered copy of the plan here in color. Okay. So we do show along, I think it's the Federico property here. Okay. So nine plantings. I don't think I have the chart here, what the TG stands for, but 9 plantings there, as well as additional plantings in this location. So there is a landscape plan that shows exactly what the species are for each plant that would be proposed. With regards to the fencing, admittedly, I was not at that public meeting. I'll ask Dennis to mention that. As far as fencing goes, I don't know if a commitment was made to put up a fence.
Is there fencing on the plan?
there's no proposed fencing on the plan. There's some existing fencing shown along various properties where surveyors picked up existing fencing, but we're not proposing any
So
fencing.
you're not saying that you're putting up any fencing? Okay.
Right now, we're not proposing any fencing. That's correct.
Jim, we have the latitude as the commission and to add a fence in any place we want.
Well, it would just seem to me that that would sort of solve a big problem. You're spending a lot of building this building. I don't really see it as a big problem, but we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and certainly the arborvitae we're showing here against the Federico property at 28 Robin Court is those new arborvitae would be on our side of an existing fence that's there today. And the only thing I'll add, just with regards to the traffic, is that if you recall, the AM peak hour, everything operated at a level service A. So I think we're only talking about the PM peak hour where there'd be an issue. And again, I think Mike can say a little more about OSTA and how they would handle things, but OSTA really has the hammer there to enforce some of the recommendations. So I don't know, Mike, if you have anything to add to that.
That's correct, John. It is a state-owned traffic signal, but we, as part of the OSTA process, will be reaching out to the local traffic authority for North Haven. And he can always, recommend, and he can add his input too, saying that the state should consider improvements at this intersection. So it may not fall upon our developer, but it could be a state project or state and Amazon to get some of these changes implemented. As I said, I think from our traffic counts, it appears that the Amazon Drive doesn't operate quite the way they thought it would, and there's more traffic going a different way. So it is something to investigate, and the LTA could also make that recommendation.
Well, but I'm not understanding, and I don't mean to be dense, but when you say the state, our local traffic authority, you mean the police?
Yes, the police chief is the local traffic authority.
So, but have you talked to the police chief and told them to talk to the state so we can fix this? I mean, how are we going to decide that this is okay when we know it's a problem and we don't know it's going to be solved? That's number one. And let me go back, because Mr. Walker may have stated it more artfully than I did. Some of the traffic counts you used were from 2018, 2019. Amazon wasn't in business then. It wasn't operating. It wasn't dumping cars out onto Washington Avenue. That's what my concern was.
And and part of that is that for 441, 447, they went out and recounted that driveway. So Amazon is operational and up and running now. So those volumes were incorporated into their study. And
okay. And I'd like you to, this is what I was asking before. I don't see that. And I can't see it in your appendix.
Yeah, so in the appendix with the Malone and McBroom traffic volumes, those are the approved volumes from OSTA for 441 and 447 across the street.
Okay.
So that they went out and recounted that driveway.
You can keep telling me that. I want to see the numbers and tell me where I see the numbers of where it is at those intersections now, post Amazon. Where does it show that?
That chart, that graphic you were looking at in the appendix from the Malone and McBroom study, what that is, and if you want the existing counts, I can get them, but what that is that they have the same traffic on Route 5 that we did, but they went out and recounted the Amazon driveway. And then, because they're not opening until 2022, they took the traffic that they counted this year and upped it to 2022. So those volumes there are the volumes that are coming out of Amazon.
Where is there? The volumes there. Where are you talking about?
Volumes in the appendix of our report.
The appendix is about 40 pages long. Every page of it is the volumes you're talking about?
Nope. So if you don't have the PDF, but it's the appendix that's record OSTA approved no-bill traffic volumes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
So the very first appendix of the appendix set.
Mike, if I stop share, could you bring that up?
Oh, yeah.
I think we're going to have time to look at this, Jim.
I get it. And maybe that might be the best. It's like.
Yep. So this appendix here, the very first appendix, is the record OSTA approved no build volumes for 441, 447 across the street.
Hold on. Record OSTA approved, no traffic builds. So those have numbers on it, but it doesn't say where the numbers come from, right? Like the number.
That's right. These came from the DOT. And what it was is that I believe with 441 and 447, it was brought to the attention of Madeline and McBroom that the traffic signal doesn't work very well. So they went out and recounted this driveway for Amazon Distribution Center.
And what is
If
the
you can
date
see-
of these numbers? What's the date of these numbers?
Those numbers were 2021, so they were this year.
Wow.
So they had gone out and done those counts just either this year or late last year. So they're very up to date, which is why we're saying, if you look at it, they counted 684 cars and trucks taking a right turn out of Amazon, which if you see the Amazon driveway now, it's set up with 2 left turns and a right turn lane, which if you look at the volumes is not, I think when they set it up and when they initially did their study, they thought a lot more traffic would be traveling to 91 North or going north on Route 5 than what is actually going there.
The numbers on this diagram, where could I call the state and ask for those numbers?
You could, yes.
And what would I ask for?
You would call the OSTA and you would ask for the record approved volumes for the 441, 447
Okay.
project. They would send you this.
So for the 441.
Yeah, right here. If you look at the plan, it's on the plan itself, so you can see it.
Yeah, no, I see it. Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you.
Okay.
You are so welcome.
The reason I guess we're looking so closely at the traffic here is that we not only we're really looking at this project here, but there's a lot coming down the road on Washington Avenue. There's another well over 200 units coming at Washington Avenue. We're going to have to handle it some way or another. So
yeah, right.
We're going to look at this very closely. So we have a lot coming at us very soon. And
I will concede Valley Service Road may very well help this a bit. So
for sure, but we got to make sure that something's going on here that will help it, because it's only going to continue to get more heavy than it is.
Yeah. Okay.
But in any event, we're good as far as that goes at the moment.
Mr. Chairman, Alan Frederickson, I don't want to detract from the traffic situation, but I just wanted to go back to the landscaping for a moment.
Yep.
And just reiterate that section 10.1.1.3 of the regs indicates continued conformance with the approved site plan, including the maintenance of all landscaping, shall be a requirement of the continued validity of any such certificate of zoning compliance. Failure to maintain the approved landscaping constitutes a zoning violation. So I just want to be clear that whatever's shown on that plan is not it's not an issue of whether the installer's warranty runs out. The owners of that property are obligated to maintain that landscaping in perpetuity or until it's changed by the commission.
The problem, Alan, is that didn't help the people abutting this when the guy tore it all down from Fantasia, right?
I got you.
Still true even then. It didn't do very much good for those neighbors.
Well, Jim, maybe we can take a little bit closer look at this and make sure that.
Well, but it was in place then too, and he went and took it down, and it's again a different issue for us. It's an enforcement issue. I agree. The plan, and I'm not besmirching this applicant. I'm sure they'll do what they're saying they're going to do. But what happens is later on, when it's a different owner or whatever it is, and they tear stuff down, just like, although that was the original applicant, tore stuff down, and then the people complain about it, and he doesn't put it back up, and what do you do? And not end up with a new person, and that stuff's still torn down.
Yeah, well, we've dealt with this here not long ago, and Jim, and maybe we'll have to do that. But we're certainly going to be sure that the Walker family has got every bit of protection as they want there. We're going to be certainly sure of that. And
to be frank, for my 2 cents, I think it makes more sense I would still put the buffer up, but I'd put a fence. I would say.
Yeah, well, the fence comes last.
Jim, Alan Frederickson, specifically within that regulation, it contains wording that stipulates that the commission can, at their own discretion, require fencing be added.
Right.
So whatever you want to do, it's yours.
That seems to be the best thing for me. It's like, at least then you give them some protection, but we can talk about it.
Yeah, well, Jim, as you recall, back up on the flats, we had sort of a problem on the flats about distinguishing where people were going to walk and ride their bicycles.
Right, and go through, right.
We put the fence around that whole piece of property. So, I mean, we could do the same thing here if need be.
Yeah.
So we got to make this thing right, and we got to do it now. We can't do it later. So, right. I mean, I want everybody to have their say now, and I'm trying to take it all in as much as I can here. So, in any event, we'll address these things as it comes along. Are you good for the moment, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, good enough. Anyone else on the commission have anything to say?
Yeah, hey, Vern, this is Rich Wilson. With all of the tree planting, does that all get, automatic watering or irrigation, or who waters all of those brand new trees? I mean, I imagine that the lawn gets watered, but how about the trees and the shrubs? Is that underground watering? Sprinkler system?
Alan Frederickson, all maintained areas need to be serviced by an automatic sprinkler system.
Yeah, so all of the trees are sure to get watered.
No,
I don't know if I would say that, but
no.
Yep.
Well, we're going to look into that.
All right.
Unless the applicant wants to address it right now, but we certainly got to look into all of that.
Just John Schmitz for the applicant. Just quickly, just to reiterate what Alan said, there will be a underground sprinkler system serving the lawn areas, and also the landscaped areas around the buildings. Certainly the trees are in some of those areas where there will be irrigation. So it's, by virtue of being close to the irrigation, they'll get some residual water, I suppose. But there's no proposed watering dedicated specifically to trees themselves.
Right. There isn't. For the whole buffer area, there's no to system at all, is there?
That's
proposed at the moment.
Correct.
No, okay, that's what I thought. I just want to bring that out so what we're talking, so everybody understands how things do get watered. They get watered by hand, I guess, by the contractor, I suppose, that put them in until they take the first year, and then after that it's the obligation of the owner of the property to take care of the landscape, and otherwise they will be obligated to put them in, as I understand our regs. So.
Alan Frederickson, I just want to comment. It was refreshing for me to hear Mrs. Walker's comments about the viability of larger stock landscaping being transplanted or in fact planted. The larger the tree, the lower the survival rate for sure. We had a bit of this conversation when we spoke about the enforcement issue, the buffer issue down on Quinnipiac Avenue. Right. And it's clearly an issue, and that's more care that needs to be taken for the larger stock, at least in the first year or two of their having been planted. So I think it's an important thing to discuss and to understand. The larger that stock is, the less viable it is over time. But that's something we just need to manage. Thank you.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Alan, and we're going to have to talk about all of these things. And certainly the applicant, I'm sure you've got, John, you have, made notes of all the things that have been spoken about here. So, when we get back to the table, we can talk about this. Be sure we have it all covered so we can get this thing going. In any of that, is there anyone else have any comments from the public? Anyone else want to speak in opposition or have a comment from the public?
Vern, I have one more question. This is Mary White.
Sure, go ahead, Mary.
I wanted to ask about the lighting. Can they talk a little bit about the lighting. Where is it? How tall is it? And where is it like in relationship to the residents in the back there? I just want to make sure that nothing is, are they on timers? Is there going to be any light pollution? You know what I mean? Where, they have it like shining and when they look up, there it is because it's on the building or it's on a pole or something. So if they could talk about that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Very good, Mary. Thank you. Would you like to respond to that, John?
Yes, I will. Let me just take a few minutes. I'm going to share my screen again and show you the actual photometric plan. Let's see. I'll scroll down until I get to the plan here. We had submitted a photometric lighting plan. Oops, too far. Just back up a minute here.
There you go.
Okay, this is the photometric plan showing the layout, and I'll just focus first off on the light fixtures. So we have a light pole. Light poles, the fixtures would be mounted at 17 feet high, obviously on a concrete base, and then the light fixture. The light fixtures are all LED luminaires. They are dark sky compliant, meaning that there's no light. All the light is projected down. There's no light going up. So again, dark sky compliant. The lights are, for the most part, spread out around the parking lot, and I'll focus on the rear lights because these are the ones that are closest to the residential. And you'll see where we've placed those lights around the perimeter of the site in these locations, again, to light up the parking lot specifically. Lights, this area here be shielded by residents because of the building would be between them. We do have some wall packs, which are building mounted lights. Those are on the west facing side of the building. We're not showing any fixtures on the east side of the building. It's facing the residential. And when we talk about photometrics, what we do is we run a simulation, a model of what we anticipate the light levels to be. Obviously, a 17-foot light casts lights down onto the foot candles down to the ground. And what we do is estimate the numbers. And this chart shows what those numbers are. And obviously, as you move further away from the light, there's less and less impact. And so when we get to the property line in these areas, all the numbers for the most part are in the zeros, meaning that there would be no light level at that area. Not to mention the fact that in this area, there would be a landscape buffer at the back end of the parking lot. So the plan doesn't even include or account for the fact that there's landscaping. It's assuming that there is no landscaping and the ground is bare. So we don't anticipate any light trespass at all at the property line. Ideally, you won't see any of the lighting. If you were standing at your property line, potentially in the wintertime, you may catch a glimpse of something, but the buffers that are there are meant to be a year-round screen. So they're plantings that don't lose their leaf. They're not deciduous. So they should, in time, provide a full screen where you wouldn't see any of the lights whatsoever. I hope that answers the question.
Is that it, John?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. But everything there's nothing over 17-foot light.
That's correct. 17 is the highest.
Yeah, the highest you got.
Fixture level, correct.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else have any comments or anything to say in respect to this? Okay, hearing none, we will just, the applicant have anything further to say?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, Alan?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just wondering before, what you intended to do with it before you did it.
Well, my intent is to continue this to next month, is my intent.
Fair enough.
That's the way we're going.
Good question, Alan.
Jim,
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
I'm
you. Yeah, I
going,
got you. I got
I'm
you.
going to you to get the motion. Okay, very good. We can move on to,
Hey, Vern,
yes,
special permit application of Vigliotti Construction Company applicant, Piper's Farm LLC owner relative to 343 and 379 Clintonville Road, map 69, lot 55, plan entitled Proposed Elderly Housing Development, 343 Clintonville Road, Route 22, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Mylona McBroom, dated October 27, 2020, last revised January 8, 2021, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, EH zoning district, and the site plan to go with it, P21-02, site plan application of Vigliotti Construction Company, applicant Piper's Farm LLC owner, relative to 343 and 379 Clintonville Road, map 69, lot 55, plan entitled Proposed Elderly Housing Development, 343 Clintonville Road, Route 22, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Magellanic McBroom, dated October 27, 2020. Last revised January 8, 2021, scale 1 inch equals 40 feet, EH zoning district.
okay, Teresa, thank you. Okay, is there anyone here from Vigliotti to present the application?
Construction. And with me tonight is Ryan McAvoy from SLR Associates and Ray Sullivan, who is the project architect. This is a property that the commission may have some familiarity with. It's been kicking around now for a couple years. It's hard to believe that we were in front of the commission on this property in April of 2019 seeking a zone change to the, but in fact, it was 2 years ago. The commission did approve that zone change to elderly housing on the condition that we dedicate 10% of any proposed housing as affordable. Fast forward a couple years, we were before the commission again a couple months ago in order to subdivide the property. The commission granted our subdivision application, thereby creating the parcels known as 344 Clintonville Road and 379 Clintonville Road. We received approval from the Inland Wetlands Commission for this development last week, and now we're here presenting the special permit and site plan application to the commission. With that as background, this is an age-restricted 55 and over elderly housing development on 2 separate parcels. There are 60 units located on 343 and another 9 Clintonville Road. Although there are 2.
Is anybody else having, excuse me, Tim, for a second?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jennifer,
I'm having a problem too.
Yeah.
Tim, I apologize.
Jennifer, this is Brian. I'm having that too, and the wind really kicked up. Stuff all over the place.
I would just say this, when I have experienced this issue of a delay and whatnot, I do recommend that folks call in. Tim, I would suggest that to you because I've found that oftentimes you can't quickly resolve it. So do you have the agenda in front of you, or do you need us to give you the dial information?
I have the agenda, so I'll put my this screen on mute and I'll call in on the phone.
Okay. Very good. That's normal things they mix up or what? Huh?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, so did you pick up anything I said before?
I think you need to start
Okay.
at the top with the description of the project again. Thank you.
So once again, Attorney Timothy Lee on behalf of Vigliotti Construction, who's the developer. With me tonight is Ryan McAvoy from SLR Associates and Ray Sullivan from Sullivan Architects. As I mentioned, this is a property the commission may have some familiarity with. Believe it or not, 2 years ago, we were in front of the commission on a zone change application to change the property to the elderly housing district. In April of 2019, the commission granted the zone change application on the condition that 10% of any development or dwelling units be deed restricted as affordable housing. More recently, we were in front of the commission on a subdivision application on this property. The commission granted the subdivision application, thereby creating the two parcels, one at 343 Clintonville Road and the other at 379 Clintonville Road. We are proposing a total of 120 units of age-restricted housing. 60 of the units will be located on 343, and 60 of the units will be located on 379. The two properties will more or less operate as a single property, and they will share a common clubhouse to be used by both of the residential buildings. The property also happens to abut another property called Tuscan Villa. That's also owned by the same developer. As part of the plan, we have incorporated some connection between the Tuscan Villa property and the Clintonville Road property so that the residents of the Tuscan Villa can also share the same amenities that we're proposing as part of this application. With that as a background, I'll turn it over to Ryan McAvoy. Ryan, if you can just run through the site plan quickly.
Thank you, Mr. Lee, Attorney Lee. For the record, my name is Ryan McAvoy. I'm a licensed professional engineer with SLR Consulting and formerly known as Mylon McBroom. That's probably a name you guys have heard kicked around from time to time. And I'm going to share my screen with your permission, Mr. Chairman.
By all means, go ahead.
Thank you. Can everyone see this?
I certainly can, yes.
Thank you. So the plan you have in front of you is same as our existing conditions plan with a background aerial image. And this plan represents the existing conditions of the property. As Attorney Lee mentioned, its address is 343 Clintonville Road, or historically was. And we're on the north side of Clintonville Road, Route 22, being on the bottom side of the sheet. North is up for reference. And the property in total, and I'm going to refer to this for simplicity as the parcel, even though as Attorney Lee mentioned, it is two properties technically, but just for simplicity, I'm going to refer to these as one because of the common nature of the development. So we have 12.8 acres in total, and we have residential properties to the west along Bassett Road in the R20 zone. Tuscan Villa, an elderly housing development in the elderly housing zone, is to the east. To the south of the site, we have a few residential homes and some commercial properties along Route 22 or Clintonville Road, all in the R40 zone. And to the north, off the sheet, you can't quite see it on this particular map, but is the ACES school to the north, and that's in an R40 zone. The property historically has been used primarily for agricultural purposes. The south side of the parcel, roughly half of the parcel, is current or recent agricultural fields with a farm store located to the southwest corner of the site. A natural feature that bifurcates the property is Waterman's Brook and associated wetlands, which flows from east to west towards Bassett Road. And then there's some generally unused land to the north of the brook, nearest to the school property to the north. The property is relatively gentle grade. It slopes almost entirely from Clintonville Road towards Waterman's Brook from south to north. And again, on the northern portion of the property from north to south towards the brook. It has a high elevation of approximately 80 along Clintonville Road and a low elevation of 50 at the brook as it exits the property in the central west portion. The property is generally clear in the front, again, where the historical agricultural activities have occurred. And there is some fairly thick vegetation buffer between the farm and Tuscan Village to the east. In terms of utilities, public water, sewer, and natural gas are all available on the property. In particular, there is a trunk line sanitary sewer that the town maintains along Waterman's Brook, again, heading towards Bassett Road, following the same direction as the brook. Under proposed conditions, if everyone can see this, is a representation of our proposed development, which is 120 elderly housing units in 2 separate buildings, one of which will fall on each of the 2 properties, along with a clubhouse that will be located central to the two buildings. Ray Sullivan later in our presentation is going to go through in more detail the layout of the buildings, but I can tell you that access is being provided off Clintonville Road. And essentially what we've done is we've mirrored the development so that the building A on the west and building B on the east and the parking are roughly mirror images of each other for the most part. So again, coming down from Clintonville Road into a parking area that has a total of 147 spaces in the central portion of the site, and an additional 14 spaces on the eastern portion of the site, where we will have driveway access and connectivity to the Tuscan Villa property, where Tuscan Villa residents will be able to come into the site, park, and have access to the clubhouse area itself. The parking generally is as flat as we can make it, roughly 3% in grade. Again, this is elderly housing, so we are trying to keep it so that it's reasonably pedestrian achievable by elderly residents. And the total parking available on the site represents 34% increase from what is otherwise required by your zoning regulations. Your regulations require 1 space per unit. We have 1.34 spaces per unit. Along with the driveway access and parking access from Clintonville Road, we also have included sidewalk access around the perimeter of the 2 buildings, which will provide access along the stormwater basin to the north, which I'll get to in a moment. And also both buildings will have the sidewalk access out to Clintonville Road, where we will be extending an existing sidewalk that terminates on the southeast corner of our site to the west all the way across the frontage of our property. I just wanted to note that some of these sidewalks will have some unique features, particularly on the west side, where the sidewalk on either side will have grass paver structural grass pavers, which will be utilized by the fire department for emergency access, which will provide them 360-degree foot access around the building, and will also be providing for their emergency access in the parking lot on the east side of the site. Some of the other features, we do have a dumpster location shown in the southwest corner of the parking here, and also in the parking area off to the east near Tuscan Villa. This dumpster area is also in close proximity to the Tuscan Villa dumpster, which is just off the property to the north. We do propose a significant, robust year-round evergreen landscape buffer along existing residential properties to the west. To the east, we'll be maintaining a good portion of the vegetated buffer that's there, but we will have some clearing along the edge, but we are providing the buffer where required along residential properties. It's not as stringent of a requirement when you're abutting an elderly housing zone. In terms of site utilities, I'm going to scroll to the next sheet. Can you all see this?
Yes.
Thank you. This plan is a colored representation of our proposed utility plan, where we show how we are conveying stormwater from the parking and the site in general to a stormwater management basin. And our goals for the stormwater management system are of 3 components. One is to collect and convey stormwater runoff from the site. Second is to provide for detention of peak rates of runoff so that we're not increasing runoff to any levels greater than what currently exists on the property. And also to provide water quality enhancements in accordance with the 2004 DEP Water Quality Manual. So we are conveying through a traditional catch basin and pipe system in the parking lot, along with provisions for roof leaders to be connected into the storm drainage system, where it'll be conveyed to the east to a proprietary CDS water quality unit, which is designed in accordance with deep standards and also an approved structure on the DOT list that will provide for 80% removal of total suspended solids from the stormwater runoff, where stormwater will then be directed into our stormwater basin, which includes the potential for infiltration due to underlying sand and gravel soils. And we also provide for a sediment forebay on the eastern side of the basin, where they have to run through a vegetated strip in the center of the basin before exiting the basin to the west, and then out through a level spreader discharge, which is an elongated discharge, which will allow for velocities exiting the basin to be non-erosive in nature, where it will enter the existing wetland system. Sanitary sewer will be directed from the proposed buildings to the rear of the site and to the north and west, where it will tie into the existing trunk line sanitary sewer system mentioned earlier. In terms of sediment erosion control, of course, there will be a fair amount of disturbance during construction, which we account for with a detailed sediment erosion control plan designed in accordance with the 2002 DEP sediment erosion control manual, which includes silt fence and hay bales along the limits of disturbance along the basin and along the disturbance to the west, with temporary sediment traps designed so that any runoff from diversion swales and ditches will first be allowed to settle into those basins before it exits the site towards the wetlands to the north. I apologize for being rapid here. I know the hour is late. I'm just trying to get through a couple important items before we pass it along. So if I skip over anything, feel free to stop me. We did also submit a traffic study that was prepared by Dave Sullivan and Neil Olinsky of our office. And in that traffic study, we prepared site generation estimates based on the ITE guidelines and manuals for elderly housing. We also compared those numbers from the ITE manual to nearby elderly housing units in Tuscan Villa and Fieldstone Court, a little bit further to the east of this site. And using Fieldstone Court, which had a little bit higher peak hour estimates or peak hour traffic based on our observations, we applied that to the existing traffic on Clintonville Road, Route 22, which we obtained manual counts from September of 2019 prior to COVID. And we found that the additional trips generated by this development will not change the level of service at the proposed driveway, nor at the Bassett Road intersection to the west, where we estimate 80% of the traffic will be headed from the site. So there'll be no change in service. We've reviewed the sight lines along Route 22 and found that those are provide adequate sight lines for the 85th percentile speed within and that the conclusion from our traffic engineers is that this will have no change in level service with adequate sight lines, and that it will result in a safe traffic configuration from the property. So that is my rapid presentation. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ray Sullivan to discuss the architecture. And Ray, if you want me to share my screen, I can, or if you want
to no, I'll do it, Ryan. Thank you.
Me unshare.
Yeah.
Okay. All you, Ray.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'll share my screen.
By all means.
We don't want that one.
Well.
So this first image is a view from Clintonville Road, into the two building complex. As Ryan showed on his site plan, we have two somewhat Z-shaped buildings. Each building contains 60 units. Of the 60 units, 55 of the 60 are one bedrooms, 5 are 2 bedrooms. Of the 55 one bedrooms, roughly more than half, 35 of them are one bedrooms with dens. So Mr. Vigliotti owns, a number of these, elderly housing units. He likes to give them a little extra space. They don't really need a full 2 bedrooms. So many of them have this one bedroom with a den, which is really just an open area with big cased opening, no closets, just generally maybe 11 by 11 space. The gross area footprint for each building per floor is approximately 25,000. And so the total gross floor area of each building at 3 stories is closer to just over 70,000. The building is 3 stories tall, and it has a pitched roof. And I'll just scan through this and show you a section in a moment. So if this would be building B, or the right-hand side building, you see the gray area here that, this is the entrance lobby. There's an elevator core here. There's an exit stair on one side. There's an exit stair on the other side. The gray represents common area. This area in the front is actually basement because the grade slopes up. And so this 3-story building is only 2 stories as it fronts Clintonville Road. The second image here is a typical, upper floor plan. And you could see, for instance, I'm not sure if you could see if I zoom in a little bit, that you'll see a 1-bedroom unit right here, and it's got a little den off of it. And then adjacent to it is another 1-bedroom unit that's got a den off of that. So it's just this little extra space that he's finding that these residents really like to use. So again, we have a pitched roof structure. It's just under 35 feet from average grade. This is a typical 3-story with a 5 pitch in the middle of the building and the site. This section right here, represents how it faces Clintonville Road, and it's only 2 stories in that area. Before I leave the building layouts, every unit is ADA adaptable. We're in Connecticut. We've got 10% of those adaptable units to be a type A, 90% of them are type B. The building is fully suppressed from an NFPA 13 sprinkler system. We've got fully automated smoke, CO, fire alarm systems, and all the partitions and all the unit separations, meet or exceed all the sound transmission coefficients that are required, by code. So this happens to be a shot of actually the inside of the southerly building or building A. So we have this traditionally shaped building. We've got gable roofs intersecting, other gable roofs. We've got the traditional double hung windows. We've got dormers. We've got bays. Because of the historic farmland type nature, we're playing off what is a theme today of a contemporary farmhouse, where we're using some of those horizontal elements like the railings instead of the standard pickets. We're trying to make it look more like a farm fence. We've got a stone base to this. There are other aspects of this which I'll show in another image. That try to play off this farmhouse image. So this depicts the 2-story section from Clintonville Road. Again, we're playing off the farmhouse theme here just a little bit. And we're using that theme to soften the color tones with some of these warmer wood tone colors. So we're trying to give it a presence on Clintonville, although it's a multifamily building and all access is internal. The 2 buildings will share a clubhouse. The clubhouse is approximately 3,500 square feet. So in the clubhouse, we'll have a club room, we'll have a fitness center, we have multi-purpose craft rooms, we've got meeting spaces, and we've got offices, to take care of the residents, as well as these indoor activities. We've got outdoor activities, and we're trying to do a nice job with landscaping. We could see that this type of resident might get picked up often by friends and neighbors and relatives, and so we've got waiting areas out front, nicely appointed. As Ryan pointed out, we've got that walkway all the way around the building, and you can see through these trellis areas, a nicely appointed amenity exterior area in the back. Relative to the walkway all around the building, it ties into the discussion with the fire marshal as well. Ryan has provided a pull-off for the fire truck on the south side, through Tuscan Villa. We've got a pull-off, on the north side, and we're providing this maintained walkway fully around, the entire building. Again, without this, we already meet the fire code requirement, but in conjunction with the discussion with the fire marshal, we're happy to provide additional access, and that's what we are doing here. So, with that concludes my presentation, unless there's any questions. Mr. Chairman, are there any questions? Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Ray.
Okay.
I can.
Vern just disappeared.
It seemed like maybe his screen froze.
I think it did. I lost total internet connection.
There you are.
Vern, Ray Sullivan had inquired as to whether we had any questions for him.
Well, I can't hear a word that's going on here. I'm sure we do have questions in respect to this. The sidewalks that they plan to put in there, can he hear me? Or you're going to pass the sign. Can you hear me, Alan?
Yes.
We can hear you, Vern.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, okay. The sidewalks is, how are they going to put the sidewalks in? They're going to be concrete, they're going to be macadam, or
They're concrete.
Concrete sidewalks. Yeah.
Concrete sidewalks throughout the whole, and on the road as well?
Yes.
Yep, okay. And, okay, how many 2-bedrooms are there? I'm sorry, I missed that.
So there are 2 buildings with 60 units each. In each building, there are 5 2-bedrooms.
5 2-bedrooms?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and total footage in the building is 70,000 square feet?
Yes, plus or minus, yes.
Yep. In each building, correct?
In each building, each footprint, I think I said there was 25,000.
Yeah, I heard that.
23.5 per square.
I didn't hear that part of it, yeah. And did the fire marshal satisfy everyone? The fire marshal had some sort of problem with getting the back of the building here? Is he getting around all right? You got plenty of room for the truck to get in there?
Yes, so we comply with the access law as it is. And then in conjunction with the discussions with the fire marshal, and we're completely sensitive to his concerns, he said, can we get better access? So we provided an area on the south side, Ryan showed on the site plan, so that fire truck can pull off the Clintonville Road up to the side of the building. We can do the same thing on the northern building through Tuscan Villa. And then we're providing this concrete walkway that has to be maintained by the owner all the way around. So he's comfortable that fire personnel can get up to the building, that in that area is maintained and access around the building is maintained.
Yeah, that's what I understood. Yeah, okay, thank you very much. Let me go to the commission and see who wants to speak in this. Anybody on the commission like to get off first on this? Brian or Jim? Or
I will. One of the things I was looking at is I guess it was the traffic study. And I've lost it. I had it up on the screen earlier, my screen. But it talks about maintaining the right of way, the state right of way, as far as visibility of traffic. And on Clintonville Road, that's one road you want to be able to see both ways when you're turning out onto traffic. Who is going to be responsible for that? Is that going to be the applicant or the apartment complex?
I'll take that. It's Ryan McAvoy from SLR Consultants. The responsibility of maintaining the sightlines from this driveway, to the extent that the vegetation is in the frontage of the applicant's property, is going to be the applicant and the future owner of this. So, the state could come out periodically, maybe once a year, and trim back some bushes, but all the vegetation that it isn't really even in the sight line today, it's just starting to encroach on it. it can be trimmed back easily by the applicant without any requirements, any permissions from the state. So it's very, very straightforward.
Thank you, Ryan. I just had a couple of things. And these are more of our planning aspect of the Planning and Zoning Commission. And those buildings look beautiful. And I know Mike Frieda and the Clean Energy Task Force have been trying to get more solar. And I don't see any solar on this building. I didn't see any one on the one before. And this is not something that, told anybody to, but it's something that maybe in the future we might want to start seeing. And also something else, just for discussion on yourselves and maybe to talk about sometime in the future, is that there's a lot of parking spaces. Those people don't have garages. Down the road, are we going to have to maybe think about charging stations for the electronic vehicles that are going to be coming into things 20 years from now? Because if people are fighting over parking spaces now, it's going to be a big one then. So just something for all of us to think about for our planning for the future.
Okay, yeah, I think those are both excellent suggestions. I'll defer to Ray about the question about the solar roofs as the architect, but I can tell you, I certainly agree with your point about providing a certain number of charging stations on the property for electric vehicles. And while that may not be something that's required in your regs, I think that's certainly something that the applicant is aware of as he continues building these developments. And that's probably something that we'll take into consideration here. I can't commit on a number, but it is certainly an appropriate suggestion. And Ray, do you have any comments about the applicability of solar on these buildings?
Well, I think what we need to do is look at energy conscious design as a total instead of just solar, because I think the issue is so you see solar go up all over the place, houses all over the neighborhoods. I've yet to see one that is economically viable. Nobody puts it up unless somebody gives them a grant to put it up. It's just not there yet. But we make actually more savings because we've convinced Mr. Vigliotti to go to actually electric-based HVAC and air conditioning systems are actually far superior, particularly the VFR units to any of the other models that are on the market. So are we considering solar? No. If solar was practical in the future, we definitely would. If solar were going to go in, I'd create a flat area on the roof to shield them, because I don't find them aesthetically pleasing. But if they made sense, we definitely put them in. But we are using a very high efficient MEP system, within the building.
Thank you for that. And then mine is the 1800s. It's oak trees. The leaves fall off, the leaves come on, and they keep the house cool. But and just one thing, this solar might help to charge some of the cars. Thanks.
You all set there, Brian?
Yes,
Brian?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, good enough. Jim, you want to get in? Jim Giletti?
All right, so I got a very global question, and I have a lot of questions about the actual design. My question, and it probably ends up being to Tim, Attorney Lee, why would we vote for this? And by that, my question to you is this. This is really using our elderly housing statute to put up 120 apartments. I don't like our elderly housing statute. That's not your fault. That's ours. So you're taking it, I don't want to phrase it wrongly, but you're using that. How is this project, other than the 10%, going to help the elderly population in North Haven? There is a need, but there's a need for truly affordable housing for our elderly in town. 90% of these are going to be market rate. So why would I want another 120 apartments?
Okay, anything else to go with that, Jim?
That's my question. That's the problem I'm having.
Okay, good enough. Let me finish up.
Tim Wake.
Tim,
it's an interesting question. I think that you would approve the application, one, because it complies with the housing regulations.
Yeah.
To the 2 years ago when the commission voted to approve the zone change to elderly. And the same question arose, why would the commission decide to amend the zoning map to allow elderly at this site? And I think the answer then, and the same answer, is that there is a need for elderly housing. And that's why the commission approved the zone change then, and hopefully that's why they'll approve the application tonight. With regard to the statement that there's a need for affordable housing, the commission did require that 10% of this housing stock be deed restricted as affordable. We did submit an affordability plan for the commission's review. I would note that the affordability plan does contain a provision that requires the owner to submit a monthly or a yearly report to the Planning and Zoning Commission certifying that they are in compliance with the affordable housing deed restriction. That being said, if you look at the numbers in the affordability plan and what the landlord can charge for rent, it's not that far different than what the landlord can charge for a market rate unit. It may be different, $150 a month or something like that. So I think as a practical matter, these units are affordable, even though they're not all deed restricted as affordable. And certainly the price that somebody would pay for rent is far less than what somebody who's a senior would pay to maintain their own house, even in terms of maintenance of a single family home, in terms of taxes, in terms of heating and utility costs and things along those lines. So even though the rent may be market rate, I think as a practical matter, these units tend to be affordable for people in that age bracket.
But, so let me just follow up on that. So you're saying that it's close to what affordable will be anyway.
I think you're muted now.
I thought I unmuted. I'm not unmuted.
I can hear Jim.
What?
I can hear Jim.
Tim, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Jim.
No, can Tim hear me? Attorney Lee.
I did not hear what you had said. If you could.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I probably wasn't muted. Okay, unmuted. So when you say, because that's what I need to be convinced, and I wasn't too big advocate for changing it in the first place, okay, but be as it may, how do we know it will, you're telling me it's going to be close in price to what the affordable units are defined as being. Like, for example, what is the market price now? You guys would know, what is market price? Ballpark.
I mean, I would say the market, I don't know for sure. So this is my guess.
Right, but you said it's going to be close. It's going to be close to what the affordable is.
Yeah.
How do you make that?
Correct. Because this particular applicant owns a number of apartment complexes throughout the greater New Haven area, and I know what they charge for rent for some of those other units. And obviously, there's variances based on the type of units and locations, but generally for a one-bedroom apartment, they are charging anywhere from $1,200 to $1,400 in rent.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting argument. Okay, that's the only question I have.
That's all you have, Jim? Okay, thank you. 12 to 1,400. Tim Lee?
Yes.
Okay. So since they're pretty close to the, so what I understood you said, Tim, was that the market rate apartment is let's say if let's say 1,400 for the standard rate, 1,400. So you would say that this is probably that affordable would be $1,250 a month. Is that what you're saying? Thereabouts is very close.
Yeah, I'm checking the affordability plan. I think it's probably a little bit less than that.
The 80% you have, Tim, this is Jennifer Capola, is $1,213 a month.
$1,250?
$1,213 on the 80%.
Okay.
Median income.
Well, so it is pretty close. It is pretty close.
And then, yeah, correct.
Well, since it is so close, would you be interested in making 20% affordable?
The answer is I don't think so, and this is the reason why. And the commission may or may not find this to be true, but I'm involved in a Branford for this developer. We got it approved as affordable housing, and they are actually having a difficult time attracting people that meet the income qualifications to be affordable housing. So everybody, and I appreciate the need for affordable housing, and I appreciate everybody saying they need affordable housing, but they have an apartment complex in Branford that has empty units because they can't find people who meet the qualifications to be quote unquote qualified for affordable housing. So I think they would the fact that they're de facto affordable, and they're 10%, 90% of these are de facto affordable, 10% of the units are deed restricted as affordable. But it doesn't make sense to have more than that because they run into situations where some of these apartments are laying vacant because they can't meet the income standards.
Right. Well, I get what you're saying there. It certainly it's well taken.
Wait, this is
So
Teresa,
is
Tim.
in
So is it a
Branford-
senior housing?
In
Is it an
Branford,
elderly
pardon me.
housing
go ahead.
project?
Go ahead, Teresa. I yield to you.
Sorry, Vern.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to clarify with Tim. So is that a senior housing project out in Branford that you're talking about?
No, it was not age restricted.
Wow. Okay. I mean,
So-
I get calls all the time from seniors here looking, but the affordable component obviously is a big part, but go ahead, Vern, sorry.
Well, that's okay, Teresa. I was just curious to see with the affordable component, the lesser, you can't find the right people to meet the right income to get into those apartments. Is that what you're telling me, Tim?
That's what they have experienced, at least in the project in Branford. Correct.
Yeah. How about the market rate? The market rate are full? You don't have any problem?
The
with
market
that?
rate are, I mean, they had, the market rate is not entirely full, but it's full. I mean, there's
Yeah,
a percentage of vacancies,
they're up
but
there
that's
with-
natural, but yeah.
Yeah, 10% vacancies, that's just a run of the mill type of thing, but they are up there. So it is renting better on affordable rate. That's interesting.
Correct.
That is interesting. Yeah, very good, Tim. Thank you. Well, let me go to the rest of the commission. Brian, are you interested in getting in here or?
I'm done with my comments for right now. Vern.
Okay, you're all set. Rich Wilson,
I'm all set for right now, Vern.
you have no question.
Not-
Okay. Rod?
I don't have any questions right now. Thanks.
Okay, Rod, thank you. Paul?
Yeah, Paul Wyman, no questions for me.
Okay. That's an interesting observation here that we don't have too many questions in respect to this.
It would appear Teresa has a question.
Well, wait a minute. I didn't give it up yet.
No, you were going there, Vern.
Yeah, I gotcha. I'm getting right back to you, Teresa. There's no question. Before I go, I got to go to the public on this, Teresa, but I'll let you in there first. Is that good? Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah. The plan, when you drive by on Clintonville Road, there's a big parking lot. Now, I know that the other site that Mr. Vigliotti did on Clintonville, you go by, you don't see a big parking lot. So I'm a little curious as to why it was designed like that, because it's in a residential zone. I was not in favor of this last time either when it came up of changing the zone at all. There's houses all around, and the apartments that are there, you can't really see from Clintonville Road. So now we're going to have a big parking lot on Clintonville Road. So I just want to understand why that was designed in such a way, and why not have at least the buildings that I find attractive on the road with parking behind. It doesn't seem like what I would want to put in a residential neighborhood. I understand it's Clintonville Road, but it's still mostly residential.
Thank you. I'll take that question. It's Ryan McAvoy from SLR Consulting. I think one thing I'd bring to your attention perhaps is the is the differences in the property itself between Tuscanville and this site. We have constraints on the property with a fairly significant wetland and watercourse corridor that runs through the center of the property. So we have significant portions of these properties or this property that are going to remain in their current state, going to be allowed to revegetate to the extent that there has been activities near the wetlands over the farming operations over the years. So with respect to the placement of the buildings and the parking, I think we've certainly done our best to respect the natural features of the property and not impact any wetlands or watercourses. And also with respect to the parking, based on the fact that this site slopes away from Clintonville Road, our parking is actually somewhat excavated and depressed with respect to Clintonville. So as you're driving by, the buildings will be obvious because they're 2 stories up in the front, but the parking will be significantly or somewhat below Clintonville Road. So it won't necessarily have the appearance perhaps of a Stop and Shop parking lot or a large strip mall. It will be below the driver's eye from Clintonville Road. So I don't know that it'll have the same perhaps impact that a strip mall parking lot might, but I certainly understand your question. But I think given the natural constraints of the property, we were somewhat limited in terms of where we could orient the buildings and the parking lot. In addition, respecting the setbacks required by your zoning regulations of 75 feet in the front and 50 feet on the sides. So it was a challenge to lay this out, and it doesn't look exactly like Tuscanville. That's true, but again, we had to take into consideration the constraints of the property.
If I may too, I'm sorry. This is Ray Sullivan. One thing we looked at was the use of the residents. Like at Tuscanville, there's a asphalt all the way around. So if you sit on your balcony, you're looking out at cars and asphalt. And in this case, more than 50% of the units, have lawn, and in the back, it's really quite tranquil with the wetland area. There's a pond, all the trees. And so I think it's a great setting. If we pulled it forward, they'd be on the road in front, and then they'd be looking out at a parking lot in back. So I think from the resident standpoint, the resident gains, a better unit and a better view and a more quiet position if he's more in the rear.
Okay, I have one more question too. So there are no garages. Now, I will tell you that that's something that most seniors, if not all, want. And I'm just curious, you guys decided not to put garages in or even carports. So trust me, I have a mother up here who is not happy. She doesn't have a garage. And just for my 5 cents, it would be really great if we go to 15% for affordable. And I'll stop my comment.
Okay, Teresa, thank you. Okay, let me, since we're through with the commission, let me go to the public and see if there's anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this application. Is there anyone on the line that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this application?
Vern, this is Scott Morrow. I'd like to ask a couple of questions if I could.
By all means, go ahead. I'm getting to that now, Scott. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm Scott Morrow. I reside at 34 Bassett Road, property that's owned by the North Haven Congregational Church. So I have 3 questions, I think. One is about lighting, in particular, lighting for the sidewalk in the back of the building and lights on the side of the building in the back.
Okay, does that take care of it, Scott?
The last question has to do with the, as I was looking at the site plan, when Mr. McAvoy was just going through that, it looks like the connection to the sewer line comes in at the corner of our property. So I wasn't really clear whether that's an underground pipe or there's sort of a culvert at that point. And I wanted to ask about it. I wanted to ask about the flow rate from the holding pond that they have into the brook.
Okay. You're good with that, Scott?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, very good. I'm going to go to our town engineer in any event before we get through with this thing. But let me see if there's anyone else who would like to speak. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition or have any comments in respect to this application?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, this is Jennifer Capola, your counsel. I did mute somebody, 203-605-8973, because we were getting some feedback when Mr. Moore was addressing the commission. So for that individual who is participating via phone, to unmute yourself, you can press *6, or if you're on a cell phone, your unmute button.
Okay, let's see if that happens. One more try, Teresa, Jennifer.
Again, the individual, okay, the person is now gone. So
Go on.
Hi, Jennifer. That was my phone number.
Oh, that was your phone. Okay, I was getting feedback from Tim. Thank you, Tim.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
Hi, Jennifer. That was my phone number. I called in.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Okay. Hearing on, let's go. Did you want to respond, Tim? You want to respond to a couple of questions here that they have? Or?
Sure. The way I understood the questions, there was one question regarding lighting and another question regarding the storm drainage flows.
Yep.
So Ryan, if you want to address the storm drainage flows, and I know as part of the lighting, as part of the application, we did submit a photometric study as well. But
Yes.
Ryan,
Yeah, I'll take that if that's okay, Mr. Chairman. Again, Ryan McAvoy from SLR Consulting. So the first one I'll address is the question about stormwater, if that's okay. And in our stormwater management report, I just sometimes the details of these can be sort of lost in the numbers. But the goal of your regulations and standard engineering practice in Connecticut is that you essentially design your stormwater features so that you don't increase any stormwater runoff from the property that currently exists. So when we review the property, we review the coverage of the property, the soil conditions, and topography, and those items in combination run through standard Army Corps of Engineer methodology, result in an existing conditions rate of runoff. So that's our baseline that we start with when it comes to how we analyze the site. What is it today? And how do we engineer the site so that it's not worse as a result of development? Now, clearly, everyone knows you had pavement, you had buildings, you had parking, you had sidewalks, that those surface features generate more runoff than, say, agricultural land. It's kind of intuitive. So we designed these stormwater basins so that the volume of those basins, in conjunction with the sizing of the outlet structure, the pipe that exits the basin, in a manner that that results in decreases, in this case, from the stormwater leaving the property. Now, I would also note that we had a fairly significant range of soil data when it comes to the underlying sand and gravel in the property. In some of our tests, we had ranges of 20 to 30 minutes per inch of percolation or permeability in the soil, which is a fairly rapid rate that you would probably see with like beach sand or something like that. And then in other cases, we had about 1 to 2 inches per minute. So there was a little bit of variability. So when we designed our stormwater basin, we used the very low end of that estimate of 1 to 2 inches per hour. We expect that we're going to get more than that in the basin. So the numbers that we generated are conservative in nature and still result in a decrease in the rate of runoff leaving the site. And we believe very, very strongly that it's actually going to be further reduced than even what we show in the report. I'll defer to your town engineer to confirm my statement if that makes everyone feel more comfortable, but that is the intent of our design. With respect to lighting, the lighting on the sidewalk, well, those are very minor lighting features, just to illuminate the sidewalk itself. As I scale off the property, our sidewalk is at least some 100 feet through existing vegetated areas to any lawn areas on the Congregational Church property. I'm not sure how far the house is from our sidewalk, but our intent with the lighting on the backside of that building is just to provide a little bit of illumination along the sidewalk, not to flood out the entire neighborhood with searchlights. So it's a very minor site lighting feature. We don't have any foot candle bleed off beyond the property. In fact, we don't have any foot candles from our lighting plan that are anywhere near the neighboring properties on the west side, including the Congregational Church property. I'll defer to Ray on the question about building mounted lighting. I don't believe we're proposing any on this side, but Ray, could you confirm that?
Well, yeah, so just to double up on what you were saying, I think we just have bollard lights along that walkway. So it's pretty minimal lighting along the back. There are no poles or anything. And each deck will have a light, but it'll be as small as like a 15-watt LED fixture. So it's pretty minimal light for, one small little deck area. So again, the building entrances on the other side, the exit stairways that need to be lit are on the other side. So all the lighting activity is on the inside of the property, and on the outside, just very little lighting.
Ray, I did notice that when you were showing there, which I didn't get into, but it looked like you had a pole there. I don't know how high them poles are for the parking lot there. Is that a box light you had on top of them poles? Or?
Well, we did show a light pole just to be realistic. I'm not sure in the rendering.
Okay. I wasn't going to do it right now, but since it came up, I was just going to ask you that. I'm going to take a look at it anyways. Before we go far, I want to see what that looks like.
Yeah, like in the close-up of the clubhouse, we've got what appears to be a 10-foot fixture, pole mounted, very more traditional or antique looking type.
Okay, good enough. Scott, does that satisfy you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, well, Scott, stick around. I'm going to talk to Andy Bevilacqua right now and see if he can come in and show you in any more detail. Andy?
Yeah, I think the applicant did a good job kind of explaining how the stormwater management system works there. We went several rounds during the inland wetlands process, making adjustments to the basin and to some extent the layout of where the basin falls. So I've reviewed the report. I have no issues with the design as it stands. I think they're achieving their goal of no net increase in runoff. And I think the stormwater management qualities of the basin, the way it's laid out and designed, especially the length of it, I think will work quite well.
Okay. It is all gravel down there, isn't it? That whole area is just gravel?
Much of this, yeah, it's
soil.
The soil conditions are primarily sand and gravel, although we did find varying levels of compaction in that, and compact soils tend to not infiltrate or permeate, infiltrate groundwater as well as loose sand and gravel, but it still is suitable for infiltration, which is positive. That's not always the case.
Yeah, the percolation there must be quick.
In some cases, it was pretty rapid. Yes.
Yeah, too fast, I guess. Okay, thank you very much, Scott. Is that good?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, sir. Okay. Is there anyone else that has a question? Okay, we need to keep this thing. Okay, good enough. Okay, hearing none from the public, is there anyone from the commission that has any more questions at this point? Alan?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I'm good.
Okay, good enough. Well, I'm going to keep this public hearing open for the moment. And see where we're going to go with this as well as the other one. So I'm going to keep this open for the moment, Alan. And see if there's any more input. I want to take a look at this since we have so little questions from the commission and so little from the outside here. I want to take a little bit closer look at just exactly what is going on here. I thought maybe I'd get more from the commission. They don't usually get this little. Just looks too good, I guess. But in any event, that's the way I'm going to leave it at the moment. We're going to continue this, Teresa?
Yeah, Vern, I would like to continue. I agree with that. Thank you.
Okay, okay, well, we'll do that in
I don't
deliberation.
need a motion right now,
Yeah,
so.
Can we do it right now, Jennifer?
I'm sorry, what are you doing?
I want to continue this application to next month and leave the public hearing open.
What is the, fair enough, you know, you can do that. Is there a particular thing you're looking for the applicant to do to come back with it?
Well, there is no particular thing right now, but I will have, I suppose by the end of the evening here, I'm going to take a look at this here. I want to look at the lighting. For one thing, I wanted to look at I'm satisfied with what they told me about the drainage. And the lighting I was still concerned about. And I just wanted to see about the parking area, how that is just actually laid out, where Teresa brought that up, and you know, how it does lay out. I just want to be a little more familiar with what I'm doing before I do it.
Is there any way you could somewhat hash it out now in terms of that participation and just figure out if you want to continue it? Teresa, you've asked to continue it for now or till next
I would
month?
like to continue it to next month and leave the public hearing open.
And that's true about both of them, Alan, just so that we're on the same page. He's talking about this one and the prior one, leave them totally open.
Sure.
So if something else comes up. There's nothing in particular we're asking the applicant for, if I understand what Vern is saying. Just want an opportunity for us to all take a look at it and figure out where we are next month.
I think that's the thing to do. Jennifer,
Yes, sir.
can I do that right now?
Yes, you didn't do that with the prior, but certainly you
Well,
can.
we can do this.
Yeah, but he didn't close the other one either, so he did neither.
Yeah,
No
I'm not-
mention.
Yeah,
If you just want to hold them open, you can just, it sounds like that's the sentiment of the full commission. So we could just tell Tim Lee, you're going to hold it open and take care of it in deliberations if you want.
I don't know what that means. Take care of what in deliberations.
He means
In other words, we
make
can
a
make the
motion to continue. I'm sorry, Teresa. I didn't.
That's it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Just formally continue it then, I guess.
I think Teresa did. Can
I didn't formally do it, Vern. So, I mean, as long as Attorney Lee knows what we're doing, I think we should wait till deliberations and we can make the motions for both
Okay,
of
we'll go
those.
into deliberation. Okay, good enough.
Thank you. We'll see you next month.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, one small question. If we do continue to next month, then would it be possible to have this item on the agenda prior to Slate School? I can tell next month.
Yeah, you are so right, sir.
for you.
I'll see that you get out early.
Okay.
Yeah, that's smart.
Okay.
And just a technical reservation, and Jennifer, you can, if we go into deliberations, we are not closing any testimony on these public hearings, correct?
If you go into deliberation, I'm sorry.
Well, if we do all of the rest of tonight and then go into deliberations, can we keep these two applications open even for more presentation of evidence? Yes?
Yes, because you're going to be continuing the public hearing. You've opened the public
Okay.
hearing.
All right.
You're going to be continuing the public hearing to your next meeting.
I
That's
just wanted to make sure. That's fine. Okay, thank you.
I think we're good to go. Okay, good enough. Teresa?
Vern, I think we're done with our
Well,
agenda. We go on to other.
Where we are here, we have all
You
the
wanna go
sites finished up.
Right.
How about me?
Oh. Where are you, Bernie?
So we have 323 Washington Avenue.
That's a
Would be
public,
next.
number 7.
That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Number 7, Teresa.
You know what? I must be using the old,
No, I got it here. Yeah, Teresa, go ahead. You got it?
I don't think, I do not, Vern. I'm very sorry. I have this and it doesn't have number 7 on it for public hearing. No.
It's on the top of the second page. It's not on top of
The second page. You gotta have it, Teresa. P2104S.
I do not have it. No, I do not.
Did you throw it away?
I just read all of them, thank you very much. So I don't believe I could have thrown them away unless I have the old agenda and it was changed.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Can someone
Well,
else read it?
Can I read it, Vern?
yes, by all means, go ahead, Jim.
Is that okay? I'll be the substitute secretary.
Jim is acting as secretary in this. Pam?
Okay, P2104S, special permit application certificate of location as authorized by section 8.10.1 of North Haven LLC applicant, TFJA LLC owner relative to 323 Washington Avenue, map 85, lot 6. Plan entitled Improvement Location Survey, as-built land of TFJA LLC, located at 323 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Winterbourne Land Services, dated June 30, 2006, revised 2807, scale 1 inch equals 30 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Very good, Jim. Would you read in under site plans, P2103, number 13?
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
We're taking this as well at the same time?
No, there is no site plan.
Well,
Right.
what is this on the bottom?
That's another one, Vern.
That's a site plan for 355, okay?
The one next door. Okay, good enough.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
This is
Jim.
323.
Okay, Bernie?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. I feel so neglected, Teresa, that you didn't have my,
I am going to text you a picture of my agenda. It's not there. It's not there, Attorney.
you didn't have me, and Vern was trying to give me a second one that I didn't have. So then we
I'm
were.
texting you to Attorney Gilletti right now because I know he doesn't believe me, so.
Good evening again. For the record, Bernard Pellegrino. I'm an attorney with the Pellegrino Law Firm, and I represent the applicant, North Haven LLC, and my clients are here with me, Manzi Vaidya and Sagar Limbacia. And we're excited to bring forward this application. I know you've had a very thorough agenda with a lot of interesting and potentially involved projects. Ours is important to our client as well, but I think you'll find it a little less complex and involved than the many others you've been talking about tonight. We're here for a special permit only, no site plan, Vern. For a certificate of location approval for the sale of alcohol at the property located at 323 Washington Avenue. I think most of you are familiar with it. It's on the west side. It has an existing package store that our client is looking to purchase. Vine's Distinctive Wines and Liquors. The Camouflage clothing store is in that property. It's a 5 or 6 unit commercial center there. And under your regulation, section 8.10, when there's a change in ownership, a new certificate of location approval is required. As I mentioned, our client is looking to purchase the business from its current owners, Daniela and Dave Tristine. In your package, I hope you received a letter from them explaining that they have been there for 15 years. They've enjoyed their time, but they're getting back into their primary professions as educators, and the time has come to sell the store, and our clients are excited to buy the store from them. Really, there would be no changes that you would notice the day after the closing that is going on today. I also provided you with a letter from the landlord, which says that the site has operated a retail package store for 15 years without incident. It's an important tenant to the site. The purchase of the business not only beneficial to the seller but also to the landlord, and that it retains an important tenant. I think the largest tenant in the center. We currently operates at units 4 and 5 on the site. I think the record speaks for itself that the site is suitable for the continuation of the use. It meets the criteria set forth in that section of the regulation. I noted Alan's memo reiterates those points, and so we would hope that this is one that you could act on favorably, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, Bernie, this is just a simple change of ownership, isn't it?
Yes.
No change of use, just
Nope, same use, same store.
same use, no activity on the outside at all.
Well, nothing, just
Yep.
new folks behind the counter, if you will.
Yeah, sure enough. Okay. There's nothing to really talk about here, but certainly, Teresa, you want something that you have any questions?
No, I do not have any questions.
Okay. Jim?
No, this Jim, I have nothing. Good luck to the new people.
Thank you.
Yes.
Brian?
I'm good, Vern, thanks.
Okay. Rich?
No, I'm good with this here.
Okay. Rod?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here who would like to speak in favor of this application? Anyone speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Anyone have any comments? This public hearing is closed.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bernie. Okay. Okay, we're moving along. I guess we're gonna get ready to go into deliberation here, I would guess, aren't we?
We have one site plan, Mrs. Chairman, 355 Washington Avenue,
Yeah, okay.
which is very important to them.
I'm sure it is. Teresa, you have that
Yes,
page? You have that?
I can read it because somebody sent it to me. Thank you, Pastor Morrow.
Oh, I see.
13, site plan application of Ron Castellino, applicant, 355 Washington Avenue LLC, owner relative to 355 Washington Avenue. Map 85, lot 13,
Oh,
plan
yeah.
entitled Limited Property Boundary Survey Improvement Location Survey, approved site plan P20-31, land of number 355 Washington Avenue LLC, number 355 Washington Avenue, North Haven, Connecticut, prepared by Giuliano Associates, dated 9/16/20, scale 1 inch equals 20 feet, IL 30 zoning district.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. This is, actually, this is the one that we had continued some time ago to let them get in there and the ballots in and get this fire marshal, the fire chief satisfied with what they were doing there, I believe. Is the applicant here?
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Matthew Niski, professional engineer from Giuliano Associates. I'm here representing Praxair for this application. We did meet with the fire marshal. There was a misunderstanding when it came to the racks. He was under the same assumption as the commission was, that they would just be placed there. Once we explained to him that they are in kind of a steel cage with it, and we did present pictures during the last meeting, he did sign off on it, saying that he is okay with the bollards at the side as shown on the site plan. So now we're back in front of you for the approval of the tank racks, at the rear of the property. We're proposing no other site changes. We're just back in front for those tank racks.
Okay. Well, I presume, are you completed with that, with the setting up of that rack?
I don't know if they've poured the concrete yet for the racks in the back there.
Okay.
I know they were working inside the building. They were trying to get that done. And obviously with the weather, site conditions won't allow for that at the moment.
But but you've met with the fire chief and he is satisfied with what you have there?
Yes, he did. We did submit a email. I do know an email isn't formal, but he did say he would write a letter to the commission stating that he is okay with the gas racks as proposed.
Okay, thank you.
Alan Frederickson, what we got was the email, and I believe that was clear. Paul thought, the fire chief felt that it was clear, so he didn't provide anything more than that. They included Paul's email, the fire chief's email with the application.
Okay, good enough. Okay, Jim, you want to?
Yeah, I saw the email from the chief. I like that. You said there was pictures, so I'm a little confused. I know the last time we wouldn't approve the racks. We just approved the two big tanks with the bollards around the big tanks, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
And the racks we were waiting to see approval. The police commission saw, the fire saw it. But you're saying there's some photos. I'm confused. I see in the plan where the racks are. The racks are racks of tanks, smaller tanks. Is that right?
You are correct, and I apologize. During the last submission, we submitted the pictures of the racks, and
I don't remember seeing them. I'm sure you did. I'm not telling you. I'm not saying you did. I don't remember them. But if they're racks full of tanks, what's protecting those racks?
the racks themselves are what's protecting them. These are steel racks. They're not like, you don't go to Home Depot and buy these racks. These are racks that are designed, you know, they're fairly sturdy. They will be anchored. And obviously the protection is the racks themselves. They have to be able to access.
Does that mean a truck or a car can't go through the racks and hit into it? Let me put it a different way. Andy Bevilacqua, who's staring off and with it muted. Did you see the racks or the pictures, and are you satisfied that those are safe?
I remember seeing the racks when it was initially submitted.
Right.
I didn't understand what the controversy was, but apparently the fire department did not understand what they were looking at, and that, or maybe they weren't provided with those pictures. But
well, I think the controversy was we weren't sure. We put bollards around the big ones, but there weren't bollards around these racks in the back. At least that's what I recall.
That is exactly right, Jim.
And I don't think there's still bollards around the racks in the back. Do we need bollards around the racks in the back?
I mean, I'm satisfied. The rack is designed to protect the gas cylinders. That's what it's for.
So you've seen the racks and you're satisfied. I just want to make sure that the board, if we vote for this, our engineer told us we're okay doing that.
Yes, I'm satisfied with what they're putting up in there.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay, good. Brian?
I was done. I'm satisfied with that, Vern.
Okay, Rich?
Yeah, I'm satisfied with that answer.
Teresa?
Yes, Vern, I am as well.
Okay. Rod?
Me too. No further questions.
Okay. Paul?
Yes, this is Paul Wyman. I remember the conversation that took place, and I think that it was the fire chief that had the problem with there not being bollards there. And if he's happy with it now, that's good for me.
Okay, good enough. Okay, that's, I don't have any questions for this at all. So, I think that's it, sir, unless you have something to add.
Nope. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go over to, we have some change of use. Alan? On 24 Church Street, 2 Lindsay Street. You change use. Is there someone here for that?
There is.
Okay.
Desiree Savo is here and she has unmuted, and go ahead.
Okay.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Yes, I'm just requesting the change of use for 24 Church Street. Well, it's 2 Lindsley acting as 24 Church Street. I believe it's either zoned for office or retail. And I think Dennis Senaviva is the lawyer. He is zoning it for, I think he labeled it private health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Alan Frederickson. I just want to clarify that, Desiree was the applicant and Dennis Senaviva represented her, and they did receiving approval that the commission issued for her particular use to be in that location. But she did not have an approval for her use specifically to go into that location. The amendment was approved, which allows the use. Now she's asking to have the use at that specific spot.
Okay.
So it's just
Sorry
a change
about
of
that.
use. To a
No,
large
I get
extent, it's a technicality.
I got it. I was.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Very good. I got it figured out there what she wants to do in there. And this is the one where she does a cosmetic,
Correct.
whatever, yeah.
Cosmetic tattoos and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right.
We were all okay with it if I.
Yeah, right. You got any questions now? No. Teresa? Brian?
I'm okay, Vern.
Okay. Rich? Rich
is good.
Okay. Teresa?
I'm good with it.
Okay.
Yeah, Vern, I am fine with this. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Good enough. Paul?
Yes, Wyman, good enough. Yeah, good. Yep, I'm fine.
Rod?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, very good. Okay, we have that taken care of at the moment. And what about the 67 Defco Park? It was a storage building, I believe. Is there someone here from Defco Park? No, okay.
If
I don't want to take over. I believe they want to change half of it to manufacturing.
Yeah, that's it. Ulbrich owns the property. A couple of years back, the commission approved a relatively good size storage building behind their existing building. Its designated use was solely storage. I was approached to say they would like to take half of that structure and have it act as a manufacturing space. So they desire no exterior changes. They just want to change what they would put inside of there. So anyway, they're just asking, again, it's kind of a technical change of use. It is not a change of tenancy per se. Ulbrich still owns it. It's still Ulbrich operations, but they want to procure a certain number of building permits to redo the tenant fit out, if you will, such that it operates as manufacturing. It's still Ulbrich. It's just a slightly different use.
Okay, I just want to change half of it.
Just quickly, Alan, do you have any idea what they're going to manufacture? Just curious. I don't have any problem with it. I'm just wondering.
No, I don't. I know what they do. I thought it was a wire facility, but don't hold me to that.
All right.
You know.
This is Paul Wyman. I'm familiar with that location. It is a wire.
It's wire. Okay. Good. Paul, thank you. Brian?
I'm fine with that, Vern.
Rich? Okay. Teresa?
I'm fine, Vern, thank you.
Okay. Rod?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay, good enough. Okay, no, very good. I'm down here to talk to, but that's good enough. So we go back over and get into deliberation. I believe that's where we're heading now. It's deliberation.
Sounds good.
Okay, very good. Get a motion to go into deliberation.
Fine, I'll make the motion to go into deliberations.
Okay.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Teresa. Okay, the very first one we have here is the Kings Highway to accept the written proposal that Jennifer, our town attorney, wrote for us. And can I get a motion to accept the?
Well, wait a minute. Hold it. Can we just clarify here? You're actually voting on the application to approve the special permit. I guess first.
Got to do the whole.
And then
let me start over.
Right.
Yeah, let me get the special permit done first, Alan. Okay, very good. Back up now. I'm sorry. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the special permit for P2025S on Kings Highway?
But before anybody makes a motion, Jennifer Capola, if I could just interrupt, just keep in mind that not only were there staff comments, but there were recommended conditions of approval from council. So please don't forget to include that. Thank you.
Recommendations from council? Okay. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve with staff's comments and Jennifer, staff, our town engineer's comments?
In town attorney's recommendations.
Yes, okay.
All right, I'll do it. I'll make a motion to approve the special permit P20-2, the 25S, with all staff comments and the town attorney's recommendations included in that motion.
Perfect, Jim. Can I get a second, please?
And this is Brian. I'll second that motion.
Okay. Jennifer? Jen, you want to call a roll?
Absolutely. Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili. Well, I'm not seeing.
I don't think she's sitting, isn't Paul?
Oh, no,
That
so
was a question, right?
it
'Cause
would
she
be
was
Paul.
asked. Okay.
Paul.
Yep.
Paul Wyman,
Yes.
Brian Cummings,
Yes.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
All right, now I will make the same motion for the subdivision application.
Correct.
20-25, again, with all staff comments and recommendations and any town attorney recommendations.
And this is Brian. Once again, I'll second Jim's motion.
Okay, who second that?
Brian Cummings.
Okay, very good. Jennifer?
Yes. Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Paul Wyman,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. Jim, you want to make a motion to accept the written contract that she has written up, that Jennifer has, town attorney has written up for us?
I think that's what we did by putting those comments in, Vern. I think that's already covered.
Think it is?
Or am I correct, Jen?
Yes. Yes, you are. That was one of
We don't have to vote on that?
No, it's already there.
Not separately.
Huh?
It was de facto included in Jim's motion.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, good enough. Okay, now we move on.
I don't think Jim knows what the heck he's doing.
Did we? Okay, we got this here. I'm not sure about that either, Jim. Okay. In a motion to approve the special permit on 37 Nettleton Avenue with the recommendations that we had, that we wanted to put no outside sale, no sale of beverages or anything bought and resold there. Brian, you want to make that?
Vern, I'll make the motion, but I think the motion is, we wanted to,
I want you to put in the,
make a motion
there's only 4. Go ahead.
that we, to approve with the conditions of the special permit, that we will not have outside activities such as food trucks and the other items that were specified in the outside activities. Within
No
that.
outside events?
Yes.
Yep. No music, outside music?
Well, I tried to make it so no outside activities, which would try to encompass.
Good enough. If you're satisfied with that's good. Okay. Is that what you want?
Yes.
Okay, good enough.
If I could just clarify something. So we're saying no outside activities, which in my viewpoint would include no outdoor eating, no outdoor entertainment, and no food trucks. And then beyond that, I just want to make sure that I'm clear that they can only sell products that are made on the property.
Okay.
I don't know if that was what the intent was.
Is that what your intent was, Brian?
The intent was there, but I left out the part that Alan talked
Okay.
about not.
Good.
selling,
But that's what you wanted, right?
Property, so we'd like to add that to that motion.
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second that, Vern.
Okay.
Rich Wilson.
Jennifer?
Sure. And we have, Teresa is sitting on this one, Alan, correct?
That would
No,
be,
no, she's not. It should just be
Okay, she
Paul.
missed- Again, she missed. Okay, thank you. Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Paul Wyman,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay. Very good. We have there was.
Can we act on the site plan now relative
I'm
to?
trying to get there now, Alan, if I can find it. Okay,
down.
yeah, let's act on the site plan right now. Can I get a motion to approve the site plan for P 20-37, 20 Middleton Avenue?
And perhaps just with applicable staff comments on this one.
Yep, staff comments, certainly. It goes with all of them, but go ahead. Jim, we'll make a motion?
Right, yeah, that's fine. I make a motion that we approve the site plan with staff comments, recommendations, and whatever other recommendations applied as the permit.
Okay, we have a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second it, Vern.
Okay.
Rich Wilson.
Motion second. Jen?
Okay, Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Paul Wyman,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Seven, now we go, that's off. And I want to, on the on Washington Avenue, which is the P21-01S special permit.
Yeah.
For
Vern, I'll
what?
make a motion.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that the public hearing be kept open and we continue this hearing. We continue both the special permit and the site plan to next month.
Yes. Okay. I have a motion.
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I'll second that motion.
Okay. Jen?
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
And just, Alan Frederickson, just to note, we'll just split those two votes out. We'll use the same motion and such, but we'll just carry them separately. Good,
We're good?
good.
Okay. Move to get a motion to continue a special permit for 343 and 379 Clintonville Road. Continue to next month, keeping the public hearing open. Teresa?
I'll make that motion, Vern.
Okay, thank you. Can I get a second?
I'll second that, Vern.
Okay.
I'm sorry, that was Rich Wilson?
Yes.
Thanks.
So are we doing the site plan again? Or are we going to do
Yes.
separate motions this time?
Yeah, I was going to make a motion that we keep the site plan application for 343 and 379 Clintonville Road open as
So
well.
we're doing both. Okay.
Good enough, sure.
And Rich, you're seconding that motion?
I'll second that one also.
Okay, so I'll take the vote first, just for it to be clean for the record. On the special permit, Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Okay, so the motion on the special permit carries 5-0. Now this is the motion on the site plan to continue it again until next meeting. Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, so we got the special permit and yeah, we're good to go.
So 323 Washington, Mr. Chair, is next.
323. Oh, yeah. 323 Washington.
It's the one Teresa couldn't find.
That's me.
355 Washington Avenue.
It's the, yeah. Hey,
No.
Jim, you want to make a motion to approve the package store?
Right, this is
The
the
package store?
Oh, I'm
motion
sorry.
to
Yep.
approve this special permit application certificate of location of 323 Washington Avenue. I'll make a motion that we approve that, really change of ownership is what it is.
Yep.
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Brian. Thank you. Jennifer?
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano
I
Vili,
cannot hear a word you're saying.
Absolutely aye.
Brian
I'm not
Cummings.
sure I understand. Is there something else I can help with?
Uh-oh.
Oh, somebody's phone's going crazy.
And Vern Carlson.
Okay, here's Gary, my loan.
Are we okay now? Can you hear me?
Oh, dear.
Whose
Yes,
phone is that?
I don't know
Okay.
whose phone it is, but Vern Carlson, could you vote, please?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries 5-0 on 323 Washington. And then,
Thank you very much. I'm glad I stayed because Teresa almost skipped me again.
I know, she tried.
Have a good night.
I like package stores. I don't know what it is.
Thank you, Bernie.
Have a good night.
You too.
Mr. Chair, the next one is 355 Washington.
There we go.
Okay. Let me just.
Vern, this is Brian Cummings. I'll make the motion to approve-
355, yep.
I'll make the motion to approve P 21-03 5 Washington Avenue.
Then I will second that motion, Vern.
Okay, good enough. Teresa, Jennifer?
Yes, sir. Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, now we're over to extensions. This is interesting.
Yeah, why don't we get the change of use right up first, Vern, because I think one of those extensions we're gonna have a debate over.
Okay, good enough. The change of use there is on the Church Street, 24 Church Street, or 2 Lindsay Street. A change of use, can I get an approval?
This is Jim Gilletti. I'll make a motion to approve the change of use for 24 Church Street.
This is Brian Cummings. I'll second Jim's motion.
Jennifer?
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay. The next one will be a change of use to 67 Defco Park Road. It's to go, we just talked about it. They want to change over half of it from manufacturing and the other half storage. Is storage now. Can I get a motion to
Vern,
approve?
this is Brian Cummings. I'll make the motion to approve the change of use at 67 Defco Park Road.
Okay. You have a second?
This is Rich Wilson. I'll second it.
Okay, very good. Jennifer?
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we'll get rid of the bonds here before we get over to this. We're gonna have an extensive.
There's an issue about one of those too. Hold on.
Andy?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you tell us about the bond release there on P 2021 19-9-11 Defco Park Road?
Yep, this was for Summit Material Handling, where they'd done some improvements in their yard, if you remember right, including some drainage improvements. I've been out to take a look at it. Everything looks fine. Got the as-built, and I'm good with it. I think it was a $3,500 bond that we had held.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve, release the bond.
Can I have a second?
That was Rich Wilson?
Yep.
Yes, Alan.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you.
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Vern Carlson.
Aye,
Motion carries 5-0.
okay. On P15-0587 North Hill Road. What is that, Alan? Or
This is Hidden Pond subdivision, Mikey's Way, essentially. That cul-de-sac. There was a few issues that I have asked them to address, which they did. Probably the biggest one was they didn't have hoods in the catch basins. So those have now been added. And everything looks good at this point from my perspective. So I was recommending the release of the $50,000 bond that remains on that.
okay,
Hey, Andy, just remind me, is it this one or the next one? One of them had a problem from the homeowners. Is it the next one?
It's the next one. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I got no problem with this one. Okay. Thank you.
okay. Jim, approve this? Get a motion to approve?
What's the addresses? This is Mikey's Way.
87 North Hill.
Right.
Yeah. I'll make a motion to approve the bond release for 87 North Hill.
Okay,
Brian Cummings, I'll second that.
okay, very good. Jeff?
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciato Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye,
Motion carries 5-0.
okay. Very good. The last one is P06-25, 828 Thompson Street. What is that, Andy?
This is Summer Wind, which is that condo development off of Summer Lane. A number of units that had been put in there. Again, same issue here. I had a number of issues. I've been going back and forth with them for quite a while to get to a point where I was comfortable with the release. There was a number of issues. The homeowners association had a punch list that I reviewed pretty carefully. The major issue was their guide rail system. The guide rail, there was a dispute between the developer and the homeowners association as to the limits of the guide rail and the type of guide rail that was going to be used out there. They came to an accord, and everybody seemed to be satisfied with what ended up going in. The guide rail was installed. They're DOT approved wood with steel backing type guide rails like you'd have on the Parkway, which was actually what had been called for in the original approval. The limits of the guide rail changed a bit. They did some differential grading to be able to eliminate some small sections of the guide rail, but for the most part, they were installed. I'm satisfied with that installation. That looks fine. The remaining punch list items, there was a number of things that were, grading improvements. There was a few things having to do with the pavement. Those have been have done and completed. I don't think there's any dispute there. The homeowners association did write 2 letters, which you should have in your packets there, which talk about some issues that they've had with the developer. The remaining issues, as far as I can see, have more to do with contractual items related to snow removal and money that the homeowners association feels is due to them from the developer. I did not consider those to be planning and zoning related issues. They're not really related to the construction of the project. I don't doubt that there's some sort of dispute between the developer and the homeowners association regarding money, but I don't think that that's applicable to our bond, and that's why I've made the recommendation that I have.
Okay, there's something I don't understand. One of the things they're saying is that's not resolved is a drainage erosion issue. That wouldn't be something that we'd be worried about?
Yeah, I've seen that particular location, and there's been a number of those things that have come up. And I was satisfied that that what's present out there works as it is.
So you think what they're saying, there is no drainage or erosion issue?
I did not see anything that I consider to be an issue out there.
So this is, Vern, this is what I'd like to do. You know, I'm hoping that these will look, and I would like to continue this the next month to give them an opportunity to come and tell us what the drainage and erosion issues are. I understand what Mr. Bevelak is saying, but they're claiming there's something. And the one thing that I agree with them about is that if we return the bond, the developer will never go out there again. So I'd like to give them at least a chance to come and tell us. If they don't come and tell us, then I will say that we move forward, but I move that we continue this till next month.
Okay. Jim, make the motion to continue this to next month. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Jennifer?
Yep, Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings.
Aye.
And Vern Carlson.
Aye. Okay, Jim, we'll get an opportunity to get them before us.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, that's fine.
Good enough. Okay, we're gonna move up to extensions, which we have P 11-39, 290 Washington Avenue. Alan, you want to tell us what that is?
Well, they wrote a letter
No.
of request. I guess what I could tell you is there was an approval granted 9 years ago, and that approval was requiring of sidewalks across the street frontage on Washington Avenue, and those sidewalks were not constructed. They received a letter as it approached their deadline, which was maybe the third week of January or so. And I never had any discussions with them, but it resulted in this letter of request to the commission.
Okay.
That's a tad incomplete because it's been 9 years. They've been told repeatedly they needed those sidewalks. We couldn't do it because the statute doesn't require that they do it for 9 years, but they could have done it anywhere along that entire 9-year span and they knew it.
Is there, I feel this, is there anybody here from the Fair Association? Is there anyone here could tell us a little about what the problem is here?
I don't see anyone here, Vern.
Okay. Okay, go ahead, Jim.
That's where I am. I'm not in favor of granting this at all. As our zoning enforcement officer knows, and as Alan knows, this thing's been in my throat for 9 years. They knew 9 years ago they needed to put these sidewalks in, and now come at the end of 9 years and say, "Oh, give me another couple of years." Forget it. I mean, that's my position. I mean, it's like they knew about it, didn't do it. They're not even here to bother advocating for it. I just wouldn't even act on this request.
Yeah, well, okay, that's good.
Either that or I'll make a motion to deny it. Which one would you prefer?
I just heard you had enough to say at the moment.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
You know, generally, we don't, that's fair enough. Generally, we don't get input in terms of bond releases or extensions or what have you. That is to say, it's not a public hearing. So, whatever you want to do, if you want to bring them before you, or if they...
Let me do the same thing I did in the last one. I make a motion that we continue it, and that if you could let the zoning enforcement officer know that we'd like to hear from them as to exactly why they haven't done this for 9 years.
Exactly what I want to do.
That's fine.
That's good
I'll
enough.
make that motion that we continue it to next month.
Okay, I'll take that. Teresa, how about a second?
I will second that, Vern.
That's a girl. Okay, Jennifer. Yeah, I know, that's a huffy. Remember, I told you, keep working. Jennifer.
I'm muted. I'm sorry. Rich Wilson.
Getting late.
Yes, it is. Rich,
Next.
Aye.
thank you. Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano-Vili,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Okay, now we have P19-31, 319 Washington Avenue.
Vern, I'm going to recuse myself on this one. I don't think I voted for this for reasons that went way back. So I'm going
Okay,
to stay off the extension.
Okay, good enough. Who would sit in, Al?
Well, just in
Wanna
the
have
interest
Paul sit in?
of unity, why don't we just have Paul
Yeah.
sit
Just
on
be-
this one? And then next meeting and thereafter, Rod would be the next person in, and we'll just keep
Yeah.
it kind of pure, if
Okay.
that makes sense.
I don't want to put him in for one. You don't want to come in for this. Rod, you don't want to come in for this one vote, do you?
Nope.
Oh, he said give it to Paul.
Yeah, okay. Who is this, Al?
This is it's Lou Yacarino. It's his LLC. And Lou, I will say this, I mean, it's a fairly straightforward letter of request. This is a different approval. This is something where you gave an approval and he has 1 year to consummate that approval and satisfy the conditions. And I think Lou was actually debating whether he wanted to do it or not. And he's not really sure, but he would like to retain the ability to do that. Lou intends to post a bond within the next 30 to 60 days and satisfy the conditions. He wants to hold the approval for 9 years or what have you. He's intending to post a bond, but the problem is he's going to expire. I don't think it's expired yet, but I think it's going to expire prior to your next meeting.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. And look for a motion to give him a 6-month extension. And that's enough for the moment. If I get a motion to approve this for a 6-month extension,
Vern, this
I'll
is
make a
Vern.
motion to
I'll make that motion to approve P19-31, 319 Washington Avenue for a 6-month extension.
okay, very good. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jennifer?
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Rich Wilson.
Okay.
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Teresa Ranciano-Vili,
Aye.
Paul Wyman,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye,
Motion carries.
okay. So
Minutes.
we got those taken care of. And we got the other one that come up next month. That's good. We're right down for the zoning enforcement, the ZEO report. We did have the report. Everybody okay with that?
Well, she's doing a good job reporting to us. We still have to have a meeting about enforcement.
Well, yeah, well,
It's just not.
I talked with Teresa actually earlier today or yesterday, Jim, in respect to that. We're gonna put a little committee together and talk about exactly.
Yeah, we just got to move it forward, and we can kick these things out. What happens is we always end up at 11 o'clock. So
Well, we're gonna.
I don't want to talk about it any more than anybody else does.
We'll get that done soon. I don't know if we get this month, but we'll do it very soon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
Yeah, we're
good
gonna
enough.
try to schedule that within the next maybe 6 weeks. Yes, Vern.
Okay, good enough.
Got it.
Before you go to Florida. Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to, okay, we're set, we don't have to get in here. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for January 4th, 2021? Teresa?
Anyone but
I
Teresa.
was not here, so I
This is Jim
cannot.
Gilletti. I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes.
Yeah, and this is Brian Cummings. I'll second Jim's motion.
Okay. Jen?
Rich Wilson,
Aye.
Jim Gilletti,
Aye.
Brian Cummings,
Aye.
Paul Wyman,
Aye.
and Vern Carlson.
Aye.
Motion
Okay.
carries.
Are we,
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
again?
Rich Wilson, I'll second that.
Okay, good enough. All in favor? Go ahead.
Aye.
Aye.
Jennifer.
Aye.
And it is 10:59 PM. Thank you, everybody.
Adios.
I am
Bye-bye.
ending the meeting.
Aye.
Bye-bye.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.